And the thing is, I would love to talk about how do you talk about that on air without coming across as a jerk?
I don't know. What I mean? You were going to come at me about that, but I mean, it's just like that's the whole reason why she was just on TV.
Let's get it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. It is 6 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, and the Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. How's everybody? Y'all doing all right? Everybody good? Everybody living your best life? Everybody having a lovely week so far? I hope you had a stellar start to it. My friends, my family, my colleagues, my coworkers, my countrymen. It is spectacular to be back with you one more time again.
Okay, I just saw a thing of the Cowboys, like they like posed in slow motion, and it looks like Jerry Jones about to eat a taco. It's very disturbing. I'll send it to you. I mean, I don't know who this appeals to, but it's weird. Is there a thing going on? Are the kids doing a thing?
There is. You know, if there's one thing I'm happy to dive right into, it's mocking the Dallas Cowboys. There is the other day, JJ said, as far as rebuilding, building up, making the Cowboys better, that he is maybe the most, at this point, I think, overused slogan in all of sports. He is all in. And then the joke became he is all in inclusive in Cabo, because that's where the Cowboys are during the postseason every year. And then it took a life of its own. Because Jerry, are you saying all in? It's Jerry saying all in is the equivalent of, you know how you point out every time someone says, I'm not going to lie, or let me be honest with you. You're like, okay, you're kind of insinuating that you're not that all the time.
Yeah, so I should never trust you except for this moment.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thought is JJ saying, I'm all in. It's like, oh, you haven't been? And then you realize, oh, look at the boys the last couple of years. Maybe not. Oh, maybe he hasn't been. Maybe he hasn't been. Listen, I'm down to clown on the Cowboys all the time. All the time. It is one of my favorite things to do is to clown on the Cowboys. For sure. I love it. I love it a lot. But there's something we have to get to. And we have to get to it right out of the gate. Because it was the first thing that the great one said to me when he walked into the fortress of nerditude this morning. Do you remember, Lonzo? I know it was like 40 minutes ago. Do you remember what the first thing you said walking into the office, the fortress of nerditude was?
I cannot quote myself completely, but it was about Brian Burns.
It was about Brian Burns, shockingly enough.
Yeah, I'm still in shock from the horrible way to run business. It's not good.
So, the first thing that Lonzo said when he walked into the office today, the very first thing he said to me was, poor Panthers, you could have had some first-round picks. It's paraphrasing, but like real close.
Yeah, let me paraphrase someone from down the hall who said, how about that Dan Morgan? And then they laughed as they walked on down the hall. So, someone who might be on another station who I just happened to see whilst in the restroom. Yes.
Well, I happen to know that individual listens to this show while he is doing the stuff he does for that station. And I would invite that individual, should he be listening right now, come on over, grab a mic, let's talk about it.
He's a little busy.
Listen, I know what he's doing over there. It's not more important than being on this show right now. All right?
I don't know.
So, news guy, if you're listening right now, Come talk to me.
That's not who it was.
Oh, it wasn't him?
No, it was a large individual.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
there's only like two
I'm also going to
equal or larger than me in this building.
They're on the same show.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and say this show's more important than that one too. So come on over, big fella. Whoever is in the building that might be listening right now, any of you that want to talk about it, come talk to me right now, because I am going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, be prepared. You're all wrong about this. You're all wrong about this. You're all going about it the wrong way.
It's getting hot in here. So hot.
Hot take time. The Panthers did the best they could do. And anybody who is walking around slinging their big verbal elbow drops right now is doing so with the benefit of hindsight. Hindsight being what it is, of course, 2020.
I shouldn't move that fast on the stream. It causes things to blur.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Like the flash over there.
Yeah.
So, let me be real clear about this. Anybody who rolls up to a mic today, anybody who rolls up on a sports talk show today, hell, anybody you talk to anywhere at any point today that goes, could have had 2 first rounders. Right, you could have. But let's talk about the context of how we arrived here.
You're gonna talk about how you're right, aren't you?
I'm always right.
You're gonna talk about exactly what the moves that they did yesterday that were really good.
Let me make this real clear for you, people. You're gonna hear a lot of people today, probably a large number of them right here on this station today, who are gonna who are gonna say, could have had 2 first-round picks. This just illustrates how dumb this franchise is.
Why do you look like John Candy when you're doing that out in front of Wally World?
Because I'm the polka king of Greenville.
I thought you were doing the Wally World thing. Sorry, the perk's closed.
So let me be real clear here. Anybody today who is trying to hit you with the whole could have had 2 first-round picks, and that illustrates how dumb this franchise is. No, they're not giving you the context of the situation. I would like to take you back to when Christian McCaffrey got traded by the San Francisco 49ers. You will remember that the discussion then was that the Los Angeles Rams were prepared to offer 2 first-round picks in trade for Brian Burns. At the time, Brian Burns was in the midst of a career season for the Carolina Panthers 2 seasons ago. The former Florida Stater was on a heater in the NFL off the edge at that point in his career. Now, let's not worry about Brian Burns. Let's not worry about the LA Rams. Let's worry about where the Carolina Panthers were at that point. At that point, Matt Rule, I don't remember if he was fired or he was already on his way to being fired, but like the writing was on the proverbial wall at that point. However, nobody thought, oh, it is full on rebuild, reboot, blow it up, restart everything mode. And I know that because when the Panthers drafted Bryce Young, which by the way was after the whole we should trade Brian Burns fiasco. And then when the Carolina Panthers brought Frank Reich in, I am, before Lonzo jumps on me here, not saying this is universally true about all Carolina Panther fans. I am saying it is true about a large swath of them. The belief was, we've got a number 1 overall quarterback. We've got a head coach who many of us, and this I will include myself in, was wronged by his previous team in Frank Reich, an NFL head coach who is known for his work with quarterbacks. That's his thing. That's what he's known for, is working with QBs. And so there was, for this past season, even if mild, there was some optimism. Buzz me all you want. I'm not wrong. You were here. There was some optimism going into last season with Frank Reich, with Bryce Young, with a wide receiver core that we thought could
There was
grow.
optimism until, and with the first pick, the Carolina Panthers take, and then all the optimism went out the window.
No, for you it did.
For me,
you it
you
did.
know what, Rob? For me and many people out there, a large swath of people.
No, for you it did. But for a large
So
swath
all the
of people,
people
it
who
didn't.
made fun on the stream and stuff, that they don't exist. I mean,
I didn't say they don't exist.
Okay, all right.
I said they're not a majority.
Because I love you guys. I mean,
So, going into that year, this is all after the opportunity to trade Brian Burns for a pair of first-round picks fluttered off into the breeze. There was optimism going into that season. Joey just texted, said I was much more optimistic with Reich than I was with Rule. Correct. Just about everybody was. That standpoint, everybody was.
all right. I will agree with you. For the
Yes.
most part, everyone was. But there was this little cloud hanging around about him getting fired. And then the Panthers snatch him up that quick. Although it's, they jump from job to job in the NFL all the time. But still, there's a little bit of worry there when you get fired and replaced by Jeff Saturday. I mean, that kind of puts a flag up there a little.
I don't disagree with that. But I was able to, in my own mind, I was able to justify it by saying, hey, he got fired by an owner in Indianapolis that clearly has a screw loose in Jim Irsay. Clearly is a screw loose. Now, it turned out maybe it was me that had a screw loose and Jim Irsay had it right. But at the time, the thought was Irsay's clearly losing it. And Frank Reich got screwed. The point is, dice it up, slice it up, however you want. There was optimism about the future at the point in time where Brian Burns was able to be traded for 2 first-round picks. There was not a reason at that point to blow up the franchise. And trading Brian Burns for 2 first-round picks would have been a symbolic pushing on the plunger of the big TNT box that was the franchise at the time, if I may go full Wile E. Coyote on you for a minute.
Which I envisioned you as well. It was great. It was awesome.
So the folks this morning and this afternoon and this night who are going to say, see, we're run by a bunch of morons. They are going to do so that they can claim that they're the big smart boys who knew the whole time I was right. See, here's the thing. I want to know how many of them can go back 2 years, and pull audio of them saying at that point in time, get rid of this guy, make this move, make this trade. Nobody was, because even if it was just a glimmer distant off on the horizon, there was some optimism. There was a level of hope. We're going to have a first-round pick and a quarterback. We're going to have a new head coach. We've got some young talent on the defensive side of the ball, especially in the defensive secondary, that's getting better. At that point in time, it looked like you had built a pretty good offensive line around Bradley Bozeman. It looked like you had put together the foundation of a good team. And Brian Burns on the defensive side of the football was the cornerstone of what looked like a positive foundation moving into the future. And then last year happened. and it was a 100% disaster. Now, we know that now, but quick. How many amongst you prognosticated a 2-win football season? Hell, Lonzo's been elbow dropping this team the whole time, and I don't think he thought they would win 2 games.
I also want to point out that the Panthers are my favorite NFC team, and it was a very, very hard year. It was very difficult.
No one thought this team was going to be as bad as it was. Not me, not Zoe, not Mark Ryan, not Diesel. None of us thought it was going to be as bad as it was. So then Frank Reich gets fired. Then the team tanks.
I'm shocked you said Mark Ryan didn't know, because he knows all that stuff.
He's a brilliant man.
Yeah, he's without a doubt.
Brilliant man. So with all of that said and put together, the reality here is that none of us saw it coming. And now everybody in retrospect, that is going to hit you with could have had 2 first-round picks, is ignoring the fact.
Yeah, but Rob, they could have had 2 first-round picks. I mean, I get it.
Yes, and if I went and watched last night's lottery drawing and then picked those numbers before that, I could have won the Powerball. But that's not how time works.
I think the real question is what changed to make them go, okay, we were wrong last year. Yeah, we messed up. We could have had 2 first-round picks, but now we've got the clean house on the one side of the ball that some people, like the person on the other side of the board here, thought played really well. We're just going to clean house over there. So the defense played the defense did play pretty good, and they had to. They were on the field a lot. So why get rid of the defense? Because they pretty much got rid of the defense.
There's an answer for that.
You did all that for guards.
This is the answer. No, it has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. Yetur Gross-Matos was walking. He's a free agent. Von Bell was going to be a big cap hit in a year. Next year, you're going to have all the cap money. The Panthers next year is going to be like Christmas. They're going to be so far under the cap. But this year, they're not. So you had to let some guys go. As far as Brian Burns, which is the context of this conversation, there were 3 possible outcomes to this scenario. Outcome number 1, Brian Burns plays for you this year. He forgives you for hitting him with the franchise tag, and you reach a long-term deal with him next year. But here's the reality. Brian Burns next year was going to demand to be the highest paid edge rusher of all time. You've got a lot of cap room next year. You could have made that happen. But with all that cap room, you could have a great edge rusher, or you could upgrade 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 other positions on the football field. And realistically speaking, do you think Brian Burns, after all that's been going on and the fact that not only did you not give him the $30 million a year that he wanted, but then you tagged him, which meant you were going to pay him 24, which was less than the 27 he wanted the year before that, there was very likely not a chance he was going to re-sign with you next year. Option number 2, he plays under the tag for you this year, and then at the end of the year, when you say, Brian, we'd like to give you your contract now, he says, no. It's not happening. In which case, he walks and you get nothing in return. You get nothing back for him. Or option number 3 is you trade him now and you get something. Is it what you wanted? No. Is it the 2 first-round picks that you could have had 2 years ago? No. But you could have something, and that's what you got. There were 3 possible outcomes, and there was only one of them that resulted in you getting something that helps you in the future. Because here's the reality. All of these things hinge around one realization that I think some Panthers fans are going to have to come to a realization, Lonzo, and that is this. You're going to suck this year. You're going to suck.
And
You might suck less
probably
than
next year.
You're going to suck less than last year, but you're going to suck this year. Okay? I'm hoping 5 wins. You're going to suck this year. Now, I think you're going to be better than last year, but you sucked a lot last year. You're going to suck this year.
Although, and you're going to get to it, I'm sure, the fact that they're shoring up the offensive line, so that's going to give your boy some time.
100%.
And we'll see if he can actually play or not.
You just went and grabbed not 1, but 2 very good interior offensive linemen. You are now constructing your offensive line, if you're a Carolina Panther fan, the way that I said you should have 3 weeks ago, the Drew Brees method. Get 3 damn good interior linemen, a center and 2 guards who can anchor the middle and allow Drew Brees time in a clean pocket with room between him and the front of the pocket to stand in, stand up, and look over.
By the way, Kansas City has been using that method for a long time, too.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. The 2 guard pickups yesterday, magnifique, perfect. That is quite literally the one spot I wanted addressed more than anything else. And they did it. Very happy with that. You're still going to be a bad team this year. And now that Kirk Cousins is a Falcon, I think Atlanta might be the best team in the division next year. We're going to talk about that later in the show. You're going to be a bad team. So what's more important? Having Brian Burns on this team next year when you are going to suck and getting nothing in return for him at the end of that year, or trading him away now for a 2nd and a 5th. It's not what you wanted, but it's what was on the market for Brian Burns. You've got a 2nd rounder to fill a gap this year for Bryce Young. You got a 5th rounder next year. So hopefully next year you'll be a little better and you can go, okay, we've got an extra 5th round pick. Where can we add some depth and hope we stumble on a guy that's going to round out this roster a little bit? It's not 2 first-round picks. But when the 2 first-round picks offer was on the table 2 years ago, there was none of us had an idea this team was going to suck last year the way that they sucked last year. So you ended up with a glimmer of optimism at that point, justifying keeping Brian Burns around to be a foundational cornerstone of your defense for what you thought was going to be a better franchise moving forward. Turns out we were all wrong. They went, it got worse. So the value of Brian Burns got worse as well. It's a little bomb. Got worse as well. And because the value got worse, you got what you could get. So what makes more sense? Keep him in play on a maybe 5-win football team, and at the end of the year, get nothing in return for him, or send him out now for whatever you can get for him, because who the hell cares if he's here next year or not? You're going to be bad. So get what you can get for him. Utilize that 2nd round pick to maybe get 2 receivers in the 2nd round and hope you stumble on one who is a game changer for BY. Or pick up a center in the 2nd round to replace Bradley Bozeman, who you're going to cut tomorrow. Do something with the 2nd rounder, because Brian Burns wouldn't have helped you next year. I mean, help you if you care about winning 7 games instead of 5 and missing the playoffs, or 6 instead of 4 and missing the playoffs. But he wasn't going to help you be a better football team next year. That's why this move had to get made. Anybody who steps in and grabs a mic today and goes, "You're dumb because you didn't get 2 first-rounders," ask them to go pull audio from 2 years ago where they said, "We're going to suck for a while, make that trade," because I promise you they're not going to be able to. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's Tuesday, and I feel great. It's the Fan Upstate. I mean, Trey, I don't think it's a secret that Brian Burns was on the market. You got what you could get. Keep in mind, with Brian Burns having a down year last year, his market value came down. If he had the same year last year he had in 2022, you probably would have got at least one first rounder for him. But I think you got what you could get.
Running a small business is no small task. At Home Trust Bank, we work hard to prepare businesses for whatever tomorrow may bring. Your dreams are our business, and we have local experts who can help you plan for a successful future. Dependable guidance you need and service you'll appreciate. At Home Trust Bank, we take your small business banking personally. Visit your local Home Trust branch or anytime at htb.com. Member FDIC.
When something happens to your car, you might say, but what you really need to say is something that can actually help. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Ugh.
Just like that.
All right, Trey, Shane, Mike, everybody. Good morning.
Hey,
I'm getting your granola.
the 45 seconds, dude. All right, it's a little more than that. I'm sorry, but and then he walked away. I don't know why he walked away. Perhaps he shall return. There he is. He did make it back. Not that there was any doubt,
Never a doubt.
because by the way, the bump that we've experienced on a certain platform also jumped over to another show, and so I'm thinking maybe some things may be real. Do I really need to say it? There's only one other show that I'm on.
What platform are they coming from in yours? Same place?
And it was my personal. So that makes me think it's the jump from this show over to where I am, not the station. So it was very interesting. Unless bots migrate, because they could, I suppose.
Listen, I'm not saying that there's not a single member of the media somewhere that was pushing for them to send Brian Burns away for 2 first rounders a couple of years ago. I'm sure that there are a couple of guys who were. I can't name them. I don't know who they were. I don't remember. It was 2 years ago. All I'm saying is you got what you could get for a cat that does nothing for you in the future, unfortunately. Unless Brian Burns would have come to you and said, hey, I forgive you for hitting me with the franchise tag. I forgive you for, in 2 consecutive years, not reaching a contract agreement with me. I forgive all of that, and I'm willing to make you a deal next year that's closer to what you want than to what I want. None of which he said. Then there was nothing keeping him on this team was going to do that helps you. There was nothing that keeping him on this team was going to help you with. He would have helped you be a better team this year and taken you from what? 4 to 6 wins, 5 to 7 wins top in a division that, respectfully, you can't win this year. There is not enough money in the cap, and you don't have enough draft picks to build what you need to build to be competitive even in the NFC South.
All right, honestly, and the tape will tell it if you want to go back. I was optimistic last year. I was one of those optimistic guys before the thing started. I am not now. You may call it being realistic. This looks bad for the immediate future. We'll see what happens in a couple of years. But if you're building things around Bryce Young, you better make them better before he's broken or before his rookie contract is out. So and how long is a rookie contract? Is
4
it
years?
4
usually.
years?
Most quarterbacks
Yeah.
end up getting an extension before that if it's working out and going well.
So whether you count that first year or not, because the people who pay do. So he's 1 year under the books. Next year is not going to be good. So they better be good, what, in year 3 or year 4? And will there be the same coach there at that moment? I mean, unfortunately, bad teams, when you get this bad, it becomes cyclical as far as couple years, looks like you're building for something, doesn't happen, boom, you start again. Couple years, boom, you start again. It's hard to see a team actually be in it for the long haul and go, okay, we got a 6-year plan. We're going to stick to it. By year 5, we're going to be pretty good. By year 6, we're going to be great.
This is for Carolina. This is a long-term rebuild. This is not a 1-year turnaround. This is not a
see that's my point. I mean, will they be patient enough to actually do the long-term build, or will they panic and break things up again? Because that happens with bad teams all the time. They get to a point and go, okay, that didn't work. Scrap it. Let's do it again. That didn't work. Let's scrap it. Let's do it again. And before you know it, it's a decade of losing.
I think that first off, let's talk about what the narrative right now is around David Tepper. The narrative around David Tepper is he is quick on the trigger. The narrative around David Tepper is he has zero patience. But most importantly, the narrative is he's so damn involved that he takes everything as a reflection on him and he can't handle getting bashed. So he reacts. And that's why you've had so many changes. Some of those changes I don't have an issue with. The firing of Matt Rule was the right decision. The firing of Frank Reich was the right decision, as long as it came with a total sweep of the locker room. And it appears that with the hiring of Dave Canellis, that's what's happening. It was a clean sweep of the coaching staff. Everybody gone, except Ejiro Evero, which, again, Lonzo disagrees. But me and Rashad both think that was the right call to hold on to that guy.
Well, we're going to find out because they've basically gutted the defense with some of the best players that they had, and they're kind of starting over. So we're going to see how his defense works, bringing in players that fit his scheme.
For the record, this is one of those spots where I'm going to be 100% a giant dork. Without a doubt. Words are important. They didn't gut the defense. The guys left, with the exception of Brian Burns. But as we pointed out, Brian Burns was not going to be happy in Carolina. He wanted $30 million a year to stay, and they didn't feel that he was worth it. But Yetur Gross-Matos, free agent, he's going to go. Von Bell. Again, did Von Bell make a giant difference for this team last year to justify the big-ass cap hit he had? No, he did not. This was not an active decision of let's get rid of all these.
All right,
Rob. It was just a
Rob.
bad contract setup.
If you look at a coach and you really love him, you're probably willing to stay through some bad times. And the fact that all these guys are jumping ship, a very much sinking boat. I think it's a bad reflection on the coach. The fact that all those guys are leaving. I'm more upset that Frankie Louvu is leaving because when healthy, that was my favorite guy on defense.
Not mad about that. I agree with you. I disagree on they obviously don't like the coach. I think you don't like the coach and you're trying to project that onto them.
But no,
the reality is
I want the coach to do well.
They all left. That doesn't mean you like him. Do you like Ejiro Evero? Yes or no?
I have a very small sample size. I was unhappy with last year.
Do you like him, yes or no? Do you think it's a good idea for him to stay on board? Because you have said on this show, on this station, multiple times that you wanted him gone, that it was a bad idea to retain him.
If you're going to clean house, you should clean house all the way. Yes.
All right. So, point here is you wanted him gone. And I think you're projecting onto the players that they're leaving because they aren't happy. I don't think so. I think Gross Matos and Luvu and all these other guys are gone because they got paid an absolute metric beep load of money. Why didn't that beep? There it is. Beep load of money to go play for some good teams.
Because you're too animated and you're like missing the button. There you go. I mean, you know.
Oh, I got a new one.
You need to calm down.
It's Shrek.
Yeah, I'm well aware. That's Michael Myers. Yeah.
So this is the consequence of all of the little microcosm things adding up to what just happened. The evacuation from the locker room yesterday. I don't think it's a reflection on Ejiro Evero. I don't think it's a reflection on Dave Canellis. I think it is just the inevitable consequences of Rule, Reich, Wilkes, Tabor, Fitterer, Tepper. It's all of those things that combine to form this megazord of bull bleep that happened yesterday. But it also opens the door because with those guys taking off, you have created a world that while this year is going to be not fun at all, next year it's going to be like this day next year. I'll throw the prediction on the record book now. This day next year, we are all going to be sitting here like, guys, we got a chance. We got a shot. We got a chance to do something here because you are going to be working with a lot of cap room next year. You're going to have a lot of opportunities next year, and you're going to have the money to spend next year. And you're going to have a full complement of draft picks back next year. You are going to have the opportunity to make moves next year. You didn't this year. And it cost you by watching Luvu and Bell and Burns and Gross Matos and all these dudes take off. This was the reckoning year. This was always a rebuilding year. This was a reboot year for this franchise. And I've been telling you, I can't say we, Lonzo and I have been telling you for months now, this year's gonna hurt. And this year is going to hurt because there is, I think, optimism about the Dave Canellis hiring. There is optimism, at least amongst a large group of us, about the retention of Ejiro Evero as the DC. There's a lot of optimism that maybe, for the first time, you've got a head coach and a general manager who are on the same page. Your GM isn't a bootlicker for your owner and a snitch. Your head coach isn't a college dork dropping a OOU on everybody. And he's not a guy that's an ex-NFLer that's on the mic going, I think we're good at quarterback. Like he's afraid of reality or something. You got a guy at HC who so far is saying and doing all the right things, but he's not placating. He's not playing Mr. Nice Guy. What did he say the other day at the combine that I told you I loved? I don't know these dudes. I ain't friends with nobody. If somebody ain't good enough, they're gone. And if somebody is not living up to their potential, I'm going to tell them to their face, hey, I expect better. And here's my plan. And I liked it. And then you got Dan Morgan as your GM. I know there's a lot of people. Again, you're going to hear people today who are going to walk in and go, oh, Dan Morgan been on the job 2 weeks and he's already blowing it. No, he's not. He is cleaning up the mess that Scott Fitterer left in his wake. I made a TikTok video yesterday. It's going to go up on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all that later on today. In which I called the Brian Burns trade the last strike of Scott Fitterer. It's the last insult from Scott Fitterer. So you got to take it on the chin. You got to move on from it. It is what it is. But that guy's gone now. This was hopefully the last insult from him. And I think you got to look this one in the face and you got to go, this is the result of, and therefore should be attributed to Scott Fitter, not Dan Morgan. So I got a head coach and I got a Dan Morgan who on day number 1 grabbed a mic and passive aggressively, hell, maybe just regularly aggressively said, this locker room ain't good enough. I want dogs. I want guys. I want dudes in there. And to me, put everybody in that locker room on notice. Get good or get gone, son. It feels like I made the whole stupid analogy a week ago about, when warships go into battle, they got to all be in line. They would form these battle lines where it was stern to aft. And they would sail down. Why? So that it would just be a constant broadside barrage onto their target. And when you got to the end of the line, the first ship had circled back around. You just keep it going. Whereas in years gone by, you had the GM's ship over here and the head coaches over here and the owners over there, and they were all spread about. So you couldn't get a broadside volley in. Now it feels to me like I got a GM ship and a head coach ship and an owner's flagship in the back, and they're all in the same direction for the first time in the 4 years I've been here. It feels to me like they're all pointed in the same direction. But there's still that lingering damage from the last guy. And that's got to be fixed before we can start the next assault. And this year, unfortunately, is a repair year. This year, you got to go down below deck and you got to start repairing the holes in the hull from the last battle because the last captain was an idiot. That's where we are. This is fixing and repairing the damage from the last guys before the current guys can get back in the battle. Yes, I am a nerd. Thank you very much. All right, I want your thoughts. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone is open for you at 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. Taking your reactions to the Brian Burns trade, to Frankie Louvu and Yetur Gross-Matos signing with new teams, to the addition to the 2 guards. We're going to talk about that coming up later on in the show, and to free agency news from all over the league yesterday. Your input is welcome now, 844-326-3663, or text us at 71307 on the text line, 71307. Start your text with FAN FAM. We'll read them on the air. We're back after this with your thoughts on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right. Chair doesn't roll on carpet. I hate it. So, how's everybody's morning? Y'all doing good? I hope so.
Uncommitted upstate traffic, a little bit of construction safety improvements going on Woodruff Road and Local Mountain Road, so you may see a slight delay there. Also crash on Lawrence Road at Underwood Avenue, at least 2 lanes are blocked there. So it's right along I-85. I don't see any issues there between Highway 101 and Line Horse Road. Both sides of the roadway still looking really good, 55 or better there. We don't see any issues. From the News Talk 98.9, there's the traffic.
What could be the worst thing the Panthers do from this point forward in the offseason? Make no more moves? Stay pat? Because you're going to be bad next year doesn't mean you should be making moves this year to prepare for next year.
decades, but now this life-changing treatment is available for you. So you can walk and run and climb stairs and play golf and move again. Pain-free. No pills, no risky surgery. This is an all-natural solution. QC Kinetics has tens of thousands of satisfied patients who have reclaimed their mobility. Take action now and live your best life this spring and summer. It's a great use of your tax refund check, by the way. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. They're at 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and Nashville. 864-448-3772.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
Oh, I think I retire from golf.
Yeah,
That moment.
I did that. And now I have nothing but golf on my feed. So I mean, you know. Well, as soon as it went slow mo, I'm like, yeah, I know where that ball's going. This is not going to be good.
Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include
I do love all the cowboy stuff that's showing up on my feed, like looking out the window while it's raining.
And you get unlimited 5G data, $25 a line for 4 lines on the unlimited plan, at an amazing price with no contracts. Should you switch to 25 Verizon? Definitely. Find a store or switch suavemente at totalbyverizon.com. Monthly rate when you activate your IP plus taxes and fees. Discount begins the month after your enroll. Additional terms apply. See website for data management practices.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the Free Odyssey. Early bird.
Joey texted the show, said the second round pick is we got the second round pick we got is the 7th pick of the round. So 2 top 10 round 2 picks when we had literally nothing before. Not bad. Joey, appreciate the text. Listen, you have got 2 top 10 second round picks in a year that there are a few positions that are pretty deep. It's actually a pretty good offensive line class this year. It's actually a surprisingly good wide receiver class this year. Now, I will acknowledge that with the departure of Gross Matos and Von Bell and Frankie Louvu and Brian Burns, all of a sudden, defense just skyrocketed as a priority for the Carolina Panthers. But I will ask you, just for 2024, Lonzo, you said it earlier, something I've been saying for weeks now, just for the 2024 season, what's the biggest priority you have if you're the Carolina Panthers?
It was receiver. Now with all the defensive people leaving, I don't know.
I do. It's whatever it is that you need to help Bryce Young. That's it. That is it. I don't care if my defense is 39th out of 32 teams in the league next year. I don't care if there is a backup defense better than my starting defense next year. Do I want that to be the case? No, obviously not. But I don't care if we are the worst defense.
I would say if that's the case, then you were wrong about the coach. So,
your future is wrapped up in Bryce Young. Your future's wrapped up in Bryce Young. So this year, I am doing whatever I need to do to give that guy the tools that he needs to do 2 things. Number 1, complete some damn passes. And number 2, not get broken in half. Now, you've already started that project with a couple of guards that you picked up yesterday. And we will go in depth about those guys coming up in the next hour of the show. But you picked up 2 guards both of whom had a 93% or better pass block win rate last year. One in Miami, one in Seattle. That's real good. It's good that you picked up a guy who had a 93+% pass block win rate in front of Tua Tagovailoa, who is a strikingly similar quarterback, also from the University of Alabama, to Bryce Young. You picked up a guy from Seattle who had a 97% pass block win rate in front of Geno Smith. Geno Smith. That's pretty good. So now all of a sudden, I got an anchor at left guard. I got an anchor at right guard. The good news is you have just taken guard off of your list of draft priorities. Now, you added a couple of defensive spots for sure. But I need a one wide receiver. There's still one move that I would like to see the Panthers go all in on. I don't know if they have the resources of the capital to do it. T. Higgins demanded a trade yesterday.
Yeah, I figured that's what you were going to say.
Yep.
But will T. Higgins, I don't know if he requested a trade. Is he going to be able to say no if they try to send him to a bad team?
I don't know, because I genuinely, I read about it yesterday. I don't know exactly what it is that led to T. Higgins deciding, I want out now, like officially for show. I don't know if it was the tag. I don't know if there was something going on, because it's very interesting. We didn't really hear a demand until after the tag, and now he's demanding a trade. But hey, if a guy demands a trade, depending on the interest in him, sometimes the price that a trade might, the price of a trade might come down a little bit. So, yes, I would love to see Carolina get involved in a discussion about T. Higgins to come be the number one. Do I think T. Higgins is the best available potential number one wide receiver? Not necessarily. But I don't know that you have the resources to strike out for anybody better this year. And on top of that, the only guys in the draft that I'd say I'd rather roll the dice on that guy than have T. Higgins in Carolina are all guys that are going to be off the board by 15 or 16. So unless, and this is a possibility, unless Carolina is going to package their two second round picks to get into the middle of the first round, and they find a team willing to make that move, spoiler alert, there's not going to be. You'll have to add more than that. But if they decide to be super aggressive, then maybe they get a Keon Coleman or a Roma Dunze or somebody if somebody slides. Realistically speaking, there's going to be a couple of pretty good wide receivers available at 33 and what's the second pick, 39 or 40? There's going to be a couple of good guys who in other years would be picked 17, 20, 22 in other years. But this year, because the class is so deep, they're going to get bumped back into the second round. So I don't know that I'm not content just to grab maybe I go receiver to start the second round and just hope one of them breaks out. I'm also hoping enough has changed in the scouting department that you're not doing what you've done the last couple of years and going and grabbing a bunch of dudes who show up and don't work out. I'm not saying I'm giving up on, say, Mingo or TMJ. There is an optimistic part of me that is going to go, everybody who's failed the last 2 years, I'm putting on Matt Rule and I'm putting on Frank Reich. Just because I want to not be a depressed fan. I might go receiver, and hope you end up with those two cats. Or at least one of the two that works out. But those two cats that work out. And now all of a sudden, what else does that let me do? It lets me move Adam Thielen back into the slot where he should be playing. It allows me to utilize TMJ as the red zone threat that he should be. It allows me to have a 1-2 without having to ask at least 2, maybe 3 different guys to all play out of position to cover up the one spot I don't have that guy which is wide receiver 1, the X slot. Now I got an X guy, which lets me move Thielen from the X spot back out to the Z slot where he's supposed to be, in the slot. TMJ to move from the Y into the outside Z, or excuse me, out to the outside X in the red zone. It opens up all this receiver core that's been built over the years to play their natural positions instead of being obligated to play out of position to cover up the most glaring need on the team. And do you think that's going to help Bryce Young? Yes. Yes, it will. You can take that from a guy who has a master's degree in knowing ball. It's what we do. Busy day yesterday in free agency, wasn't it, Lonzo?
So that was your segue, and
It
I
was.
just, I mean, because
It
I
was.
mean, you only talked about one team, so I just, and I wasn't going to do. Okay, fine. And then I hit the wrong button. So
Okay.
fine. You threw me off there. I just wasn't, Speaking of free agency, the Atlanta Falcons have continued the trend of paying Kirk Cousins a lot of money. The Falcons reached a 4-year agreement with the former Viking that will pay him $180 million with $100 million guaranteed. Cousins joined several first-round picks, including Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson. Luka Doncic scored another triple-double as the Mavericks beat the Bulls 127-92, but it is what he didn't do that makes news. Doncic's streak of 6 consecutive 30-point triple-doubles came to an end. This time he scored only 27. Doncic had 14 assists and 12 boards, but exited midway through the fourth before he got 30. His 6th straight is an NBA record. Doncic needs one more 20-point triple-double to pass Michael Jordan and Oscar Robinson. Another sturdy hour of the Rob Brown Show continues next. You just spoiled me, Zach, because I hadn't gotten to that point. I was like right on that match, but because I can't stay up that late. But thanks. It's cool though. It's really hard to not get spoiled online for some things.
I was, who I am very happy for Sami Zayn. You know who I'm really bummed for? Chad Gable. Because I think he built up an incredible amount of momentum, and I think it's all gone now. Your only opportunity for him at this point is, I think, a heel turn.
Yeah, but if he does a heel turn, does the whole stable turn heel?
Right. And good Lord, Candace LeRae. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hour numero dos of the Rob Brown radio program starts right now. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob of the Great One, Lonzo with you here on a lovely upstate. Well, it's going to be a lovely upstate Tuesday morning. I assume we've got a lot going on, a lot that we're talking about on the broadcast today. If you'd like to be a part of it, the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone is available for you at 844-326-3663. You can shoot us a text on the text line at 71307, 71307. You can tweet X post me at the Rob Brown Show. You can tweet X post the Great One at Lonzo on Word. You can tweet X post everybody at the station by hitting us up at the Fan Upstate. All the different ways for you to get in touch with us this morning. It is just after 7 o'clock in the morning. And because it is just after 7 o'clock in the morning, that means that y'all, at least those of y'all that have to go to those regular 8 to 5ers, you're less than an hour away from clocking in, from answering those emails, from getting those passive aggressive messages from the boss that you didn't work hard enough yesterday. So we need you to pick up the slack today. And that is going to be very frustrating, I know. And what's your escape from frustration when you're at the office? Well, it's taking that first heater break. It's going outside to throw down a cigarette. It's walking over to the water cooler to pretend like you care about hydration. We all know you're just going down there to talk about sports with your coworkers. And if you're going to do that, you're going to need this. Somebody's so aggressive, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I thought about turning it up a little bit louder
So aggressive, and
to see how far I can make you jump, but you know.
Very is the answer. Very far. It is time for your water cooler cheat sheet. The top 3 sports stories that you must know before you get to the office this AM and start talking sports with your coworkers. Maybe friends. It's time.
Wait. That's I mean,
let's not get crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean,
who has friends?
Yeah,
at
I mean,
work?
you guys could pretend like, but we all know it's not true.
This is true, Lonzo. I didn't know this. Some people like other people. Do you know that?
Nuh-uh.
It's very weird, but some people like other people.
You making it up?
I know. It took me a while to get used to as well, to be honest with you. It is time for your water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office this AM. Let us dive right in with item number 1. As you may or may not know, if you were paying attention back during hour number 1, have told you about multiple times this morning, Brian Burns is a Carolina Panther no longer. One of a number of moves that got made yesterday by the Panthers, both in and out, as the NFL's free agency carousel began. Brian Burns was traded to the New York Football Giants in return for a 2nd-round pick this year and a 5th-round pick next year. Brian Burns is going to be paid not quite what he wanted, but real close by the Giants as he got a new contract done with that team. So, they got that done real quick, which is not surprising, which is not shocking. You'll remember Carolina cut off contract negotiations with Brian Burns right before the NFL Combine kicked off in Indianapolis, Indiana. This is true, the 37th best sports host city in the United States of America. with all of that being said, there were some other moves. Frankie Louvu is gone, signing a deal with the Washington Commanders. Bum, 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 bum. Commanders made a bunch of moves yesterday. Commanders got better yesterday. Like, there's a handful of teams that got better, a handful of teams that got worse. The Commanders got better yesterday. Real good pickups for them. Frankie Louvu being one of them. Etor Gross Matos is out as well. He is headed to San Francisco. Ding ding. Remember that? What was that? What was the San Francisco? Was it Rice-A-Roni? Rice-A-Roni. The San Francisco treat. Ding ding.
Showed the trolley thing. Yeah,
it did. I remember. Why did I remember that for no reason? What a weird thing to pop into the memory bank.
Maybe you want some rice. I mean, could be.
Rice-A-Roni wasn't bad. It's a pretty solid addition to a meal.
I don't remember what made it any more different than regular rice, but yeah.
Didn't it have like
it's a flavor packet, so it's like the equivalent of ramen, maybe? I mean,
no, I mean it had the flavor packet, but it kind of made like didn't it make like kind of a creamy rice kind of thing?
There were different types of it. I remember stocking them on the shelves like, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I think it made there were like different flavors of the Rice-A-Roni that you could get, if I recall correctly. But I think I know it's been a very long time since I got Rice-A-Roni though. In fact, I can't remember the last time I had Rice-A-Roni.
Well, pick some up this weekend.
I honestly don't hate it. I don't hate the idea. Anyway, that not on your water cooler cheat sheet today. Everything else is. Panthers also brought in a couple of players. Guard Damian Lewis, a former member of the Seattle Seahawks, signed a 4-year, $53 million deal with the Panthers that includes 26.2 of it guaranteed. Lewis was the second guard the Panthers picked up yesterday, as the team also finalized a 5-year, $100 million deal with $63 million guaranteed with former Miami Dolphins guard Robert Hunt, according to ESPN. Damian Lewis turns 27 on March 21st, ranked 41st amongst all guards in pass block win rate last season while starting all but one game for the Seahawks. Over his 4 NFL seasons, Lewis is 32nd amongst all guards in pass block win rate. But that does include a switch from right guard to left guard 2 seasons ago, where his numbers came down just a little bit, but that is a swap of position. And while it shouldn't be that hard, it's just mirror image. Playing the left guard for a right-handed quarterback, that's usually where defenses are putting their better interior pass rusher. You're going to face more talent against a right defensive tackle while playing left guard than you are against the left tackle playing right guard, assuming you're playing in front of a right-handed quarterback, as he has the last couple of seasons. So I know, he got a no ball for that. So far, Lewis has started 61 out of a possible 67 regular season games over his career, including 16 last year. He did miss week 6 with an ankle injury. So that is, there's the pickup. Robert Hunt out of Miami, a guy with a 94% pass block win rate. He's kind of right there in that same class as Damian Lewis is. So now the Carolina Panthers building from the inside out. And that is exactly what I wanted to see. I said last week, as much as some of you guys are going to bag on it, I think that this team needs to have a focus on the interior offensive line to build around.
There it is. It only took till 7:09 for you to completely point out that you were exactly right, and they're doing everything that you said they would do.
It's a good thing.
I just was just pointing that out. I thought you would have said it a lot earlier. I would have led the show with that. But I mean, you being so humble, you waited till everyone was awake to say it.
I am, and this is true, just as humble as I am good looking, which is to say, very. Item number 2 on the water cooler cheat sheet.
Does your mirror have lights on it?
It doesn't. That is called a vanity mirror. And I am very handsome, but I'm not vain. I do not think this song is about me, about me, about me. Luka Doncic, another triple-double. He scores lots of points. At this point, if you bet on Luka Doncic, every Dallas Mavericks game to have a triple-double, you would be up money on the season. It's ridiculous. Last night, 27 points, 14 assists, 12 rebounds, exited the blowout midway through the fourth quarter as the Mavs rolled over the Bulls 127-92. But the history that makes the news is not that Luka Doncic had a triple-double. The history that made the news is that Luka Doncic did not score 30 points in his triple-double. That means that his 30-point triple-double streak ends at 6, which is only an NBA record, which is only the longest consecutive 30-point triple-double streak in the history of the National Football League, a league that did include, and this is true, I checked the record books, Kobe and LeBron and Mike and Oscar Robertson and all these other players.
Come on, Coach. Leave him in just long enough. I mean, you got to know that. Let him score 3 more points.
While I will say that one of the things that Hayden S. Mario and I have agreed on is that Mark Cuban's got to get rid of Jason Kidd this offseason. I love Jason Kidd. He's one of my favorite players of all time. He just ain't it. I just don't think he understands how he needs to utilize the Mavs specifically on defense.
Still owns the.
He didn't sell him, did he?
I thought he did. I mean, I could be wrong.
I think he did.
You know, I
think they announced the sale, but I don't think they actually have gone through with it yet. I could be wrong. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, you know, I saw it on the internet, so it might or might not be true.
Either way, it doesn't matter. However it shakes out, whoever is in charge needs to do something about Jason Kidd. I will say this. I don't think Luka cares about numbers. I don't think Luka cares about records. I get a lot. I think he is, and this is why they have such a lovely friendship. I think he's very Nikola Jokic.
He sold it in December to casino people.
Okay. Well,
so yeah, it's very recent. So
point is, they need to make some moves. Okay? They need to make some moves specifically at the head coaching spot.
But universally, if you know that your player, no matter what the sport, is continuing a record or about to set a record, isn't it worth the risk to let them do it?
Like I said, I don't think that Luka Doncic cares. I don't think he cares. I think he cares about winning. I think he cares about getting a title. I think he cares about getting the banners hung. I don't think he cares.
Yeah, but I think it's an obligation as a coach, whether they care about it or not, to leave them in there so that they will take care of it. Help him build his legacy even further, whether he wants to or not.
Jason Kidd said, quote, "It's about winning to him. Numbers, I don't know if they really mean anything to him today, but when he does retire, he'll look back to see the game that he was playing at a different level than anybody else." And that is true. Overall, Doncic now has 7 straight 20-point triple-doubles that ties Michael Jordan and Oscar Robertson for the longest such streak in NBA history. He obviously needs just one more to pass Mike from the 89 season and Oscar Robertson, the Big O, from the 1961 season. Luka Doncic is, and you can take this to the bank because, again, I know ball, good at it.
So Nolan on the stream brings up a great point. So what if you just happen to be betting on that sort of thing, and the coach could have left them in there, you know, just so you could hit something, you know?
Listen, Nolan, love you like a brother. If you are throwing parlays, including a 30-point triple-double as one of the legs, You got brass rocks, my dude.
That seemed like a pretty good bet.
It really doesn't seem like a bad bet at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and to be within 3,
He
I
had
mean,
6 of them. Ugh. Mavericks set season lows for points allowed in the first quarter and opening half as they were out to a 62-42 lead. They outscored Chicago. Lonzo, 44-16 in the first quarter. 44.
man,
They were on pace to score like 190 points if they wanted to.
Chicago, you're a horrible basketball team.
Luka was 15, 9, and 8 in the first half. He was 1 assist and 2 boards away from a first half triple-double. That's stupid, dude. That's stupid. And I love it. Luka might be my favorite player in the league right now. I'm not going to lie. Dude's a stud. Item number 3. Sometimes you're not on the lookout for Mr. Right. Sometimes you're on the lookout for Mr. Right now. Am I right, Atlanta Falcons? Here's the problem. I think a lot of us have probably done that thing where we have found somebody that we, enjoy spending time with them.
Are you calling your dog?
No. I'm giving the old wink and finger gun because some of us, I would assume a lot of us, maybe not most of us, maybe most of us, I don't know, have all found that Mr. or Mrs. Right now. That's somebody that we're having a lot of fun right now, even if we don't see a future with them. You know what we do see next Saturday night with them. Here's the thing. I've had a lot of friends that they meet somebody like that, and I'm like, yeah, bro, like, have a great time with her, right? Get out of the comfort zone with her, but she's not a long-term prospect. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And sometimes those people spend just a little, they invest just a little too much with that person. Like, theoretically, making this up, Lonzo, moving their entire lives to Jacksonville to be with her. Just a thing I'm throwing out there.
Seems oddly specific, but you are very imaginative.
Coming to it, I'm just making this up in my head. I'm like a great author. So sometimes you make dumbass decisions like that. It happens to all of us. Atlanta. Bringing Kirk Cousins in to be Mr. Right now is a decision that I told you back in the distant yesterday, literally yesterday, is a fine move. It's a fine move. You can compete for the day. In fact, I would go so far as to say there's a lot of time between now and week 1. But right now, today, I am comfortable to say I think the Atlanta Falcons are the favorite to win the NFC South next year with Kirk Cousins at the helm. Kirk Cousins, before his Achilles exploded last season, was actually one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Last year was on target to have one of the best, no, scratch that, the best year of his career thus far before his leg popped. It's not a bad pickup, and it's not a bad pickup for next year to compete in the NFC South. That's not the issue with this. The issue with this great one is they gave him a $180 million 4-year deal in Atlanta. What? 4 years? 4 years. That guy's going to be 40 when this expires.
Here's the thing. I used to make fun of Kirk Cousins, but the quarterback thing won me over. But at the same time, my dude, all he does is get paid, Rob. That's all he does is get paid.
Bro, and then he buys his clothes at Kohl's, so you know that retirement stash is good.
Saving up that cold cash.
Deck and I talked about this on Saturday's show. Bet for the Cycle, which airs from noon to 4 on the BetQL Network, your favorite sports talk gambling show if you are my mom. And Decker said the same thing. He said, look, has there ever been a pop culture turnaround like Kirk Cousins? He went from one of the most mocked and made fun of guys in the NFL to a dude that just about everybody loves because of his time on the Netflix quarterback documentary. I like Kirk Cousins. I like him as a dude. I like him as a quarterback. I don't have an issue with that. What I'm saying is a 4-year deal at 36 years old, Atlanta. I thought 2 years would be fine. 2 years gives you an opportunity to compete for the division this year. Hell, probably compete for the division next year. Honestly, probably be the front. No, I'm going to say definitely be the front runner for the division the next 2 years. 2 years, you're the front runner.
Just maybe
for this division.
Just maybe he had other suitors, and maybe this was the only way they could get him. Maybe Minnesota wanted to keep him. Maybe Chicago wanted him. Maybe some other teams wanted him, and so this was maybe they just outbid those other teams for him.
Like solid take, but at the same time, even if that is the case, you still went too hard in the paint. If there was that much out there for this guy, I'm going to tell you right now, yesterday we talked about investment versus return on investment and where the line is for Kirk Cousins, where the line is for Justin Fields. Where does the amount you've got to invest in one guy versus the other guy versus the expected performance of that guy, where does that scale tip? Where does that counterbalance fall into line? I'm going to go ahead and say, if you needed to get Justin Fields out of Chicago to give up, let's say, like a second, a fifth, and a seventh, I think I would have done that before I went in for 4 years with Kirk Cousins. $100 million guaranteed. Which means if you're Atlanta, you can go get your QB of the future next year, should you find yourself in a position to do so. But you're either going to have the most expensive backup quarterback in NFL history in Kirk Cousins. Well, that's not true, Russell Wilson, but the most expensive backup quarterback in history in Kirk Cousins, or you're just ride or die with Kirk Cousins till he's 40. And this is true. As much as we all like him, he ain't Tom Brady. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Texter said, I love Kirk Cousins, but not enough to pay him more than Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers. I'm a Vikings fan. Vikings offered nowhere near that Atlanta contract. The Falcons overpaid and were bidding against themselves. I agree entirely, dude. I agree entirely. $180 million for Kirk Cousins.
Wouldn't you like to be inside the negotiation rooms whenever he negotiates every contract that, I mean.
The man's a genius.
Yeah. Or his agent is.
If I'm an NFL player, I'm on the phone with Kirk Cousins' agent today. Hey, bro, I want to be your client. What do you get paid? 5%? I'll give you 7 because I'm clearly going to get taken care of. My goodness. Atlanta went from a team that and this is true, despise, right? Do not like a Falcon at all. And I spent the last 2 months going Atlanta. You've done a real good job at building a roster. Honestly, they might have the best roster in the NFC South, and they got held back by Desmond Ridder. You go find your guy at QB. You go get your guy at QB. You're going to win the division. I spent 2 months talking up the ATL Dirty Birds, and then they give Kirk Cousins $180 million to play there until he's 40? Atlanta, what are you doing, baby? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. What's up?
Apparently that's what's up.
Why are you here right now? You have a media signing. That's on Monday, dog. It is Monday. Oh, that's why the Miz ain't here. How is he so funny? I don't get it.
Because even though he can break other people, he never breaks himself, and his facial expressions add so much to his comedy.
All right, guys, I'm going to grab a drink out of the fridge. Pardon us. Be right back. right, dudes and dudettes. Thanks for hanging in there. Ooh, honey. Miro and CJ Perry have split up. Oh, no. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
We get to 9:55 or whatever it is, and I have nothing. You've already took 2 from me.
What was the other one?
Maxine.
Dupree.
Every week here in the Hot Sauce Studios, where we'll be talking about basketball, football, MMA, entertainment, and unique viewpoints from a group of sports experts having a few brews. That's right. Listen up on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Coming up on a Super Tuesday episode of Offside with Mark Ryan and Diesel, the Panthers trade for Ryan Burns and get a bag of potato chips. How can anyone justify continuing to be a Carolina Panthers fan? Kirk Cousins' new home. Same with Russell Wilson. So what are the ceilings?
Called it.
Atlanta and Pittsburgh. Plus, Jake Crane will join us and so much more.
Number 1 for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the Fan.
Upstate.
Talk to Robin Lonzo. Call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FAN.
We talked about that yesterday, Zach.
The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate Carolina. Let me save you a lot of stress, a lot of heartbreak. I'm not going to harp on this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I do want to address it. Pay Derek Brown and pay him right now, like this morning. Like you should be sitting in a room with his agent this very second. Do not hesitate. Do not sit back and wait, because the price of Derek Brown is only going to go up, and it's going to consistently go up until you pay this man. Listen, this is a guy who can be a franchise foundation, a cornerstone for a very long time. He is one of, if not the best nose tackles in the National Football League. He is the guy that you build around. And if he is willing to sign a multi-year contract to stay in Carolina, despite the fact that we all know you're going to suck next year, then sign Derek Brown now. Do not hesitate. Do not wait, because I promise you, there are other teams in the NFL that are going to be putting bugs in his agent's ear about how many zeros they're willing to throw on a paycheck for this young man, and he's worth it. Pay this guy, all right? You got a lot of guys in the back end of that defense, guys like J.C. Horn that you're going to be kind of up in the air about health issues. But you've lost Gross Matos. You've lost Luvu. You've lost Burns. The heart of that defense now has to be rebuilt. Build it around Derek Brown while you have the chance, because that chance is not going to be available for long. Chris is on the phone line to talk a little Panther football. Chris, what's up, big dog?
Oh, nothing. Just a good morning. How are you and Lonzo today?
Good, bud. Good.
Oh, so I feel a little bit like the Nick Saban sound drop with the Panthers right now. Like, what are we doing? Like, we let Brian Burns go for a ham sandwich. We released Dante Jackson. We released Von Bell. Jeremy Chin is on free agency. Derek Brown needs a huge contract. Gross Matos is gone. J.C. Horn is made of glass. And what have we done? We signed 2 offensive linemen. We have no wide receiver help. Maybe we'll get some in the draft. But right now, Bryce Young drops back, has all the time in the world to throw it into Adam Thielen in triple coverage. I'm just very confused about the direction right now.
Okay, let's you ready to play? You ready to play Build the Silver Lining, Chris? I feel like we can do it. All right. I want to make everybody's Tuesday better. Are you willing to help me build a little optimism amongst the Panther faithful?
It's there. We can find it. We
All
just
right.
got to dig deep for
All
it.
right, let's do this thing. Here we go. You do not have a first round pick, but you do have 2 picks in the second round now, both in the first 10 picks of the second round, including the first pick of the second round. Now, I'm not going to be one of those folks that sits here and goes, oh, that's basically a first round pick. It's not. It's 33. But you have 2 picks in the top 10 of the second round, and you have them both, Chris, in a year, fortunately for you, in which you have a very deep wide receiver class. I think there are going to be guys available at 33 at wide receiver that in other years would be off the board at 17, 18, 19. And it's a very deep offensive line class. Now, you just solidified both of your guards positions with the 2 signings yesterday that you made out of Seattle and Miami. So really, the only spot to me that is a must fill is center. You have a couple of guys already in the building that could theoretically replace Bradley Bozeman if you're going to let him go, which all sources are saying that you will. So if you're real fortunate, you got a guy in the building to replace Bozeman already. But even if not, you have got the firepower to pick a center and a wide receiver early in the second round out of a class where there are going to be some guys available in the early second round that in most years would be first round picks. The secondary is, even without Von Bell, you mentioned guys like J.C. Horn, you're concerned about injuries for sure, but you've got a guy coming into year 4 at this point. And I got to think that if there is a chance J.C. Horn's going to be able to finish the season, it's going to be this year. The bad news is you're going to be bad next year, Chris. Like we all have to recognize, realize, and agree upon that. The good news is that means you have 2 off seasons to build before your expectations should come back up, which means I can do everything this year to build 4 up and around Bryce Young. I can do everything this year to make sure that offense is ready to click under Dave Canales next year. And then next offseason, it's build the defense time. And I would rather give guys on the offensive side of the ball a year to build chemistry, a year to build time, a year to get in lockstep with each other. Because a defense, you can go get a bunch of guys and you could build an amazing defense off the cuff, which means you're going to have 1 year pointing all your guns at fixing the offense, and then another offseason to get the defense right before your expectations are there. I know it's a long time till 2025, Chris, but if you just go ahead and accept 2024 is a rebuilding year now, I think you can be optimistic about 2025, man.
It's a hard sell. It's a real hard sell. 2017 was a distant memory ago. I feel like I'm going to be bouncing my grandkids on my knee saying, I remember the day when the Panthers went to the playoffs. And, the biggest pill to swallow right now, and I feel like it's the same for all Panthers fans, is we are doing a this for that scenario. You know, we want to build up the offense, so we let the defense go. And then it cycles through. We want to get a better defense, so we let the offense go. And then our return on investments for guys that we invested in, like McCaffrey and Brian Burns and things like that, the return on the investment that we've got for those developed players has been just god awful.
Yeah, look, I know, Chris, and I appreciate it, big dog. Thanks for checking in, man. It's great to hear from you as always. I understand that optimism is a low point. It's just a low point right now. I'm telling you right now, and I understand that I am, because as Lonzo will attest, I am a beacon of hope and optimism and positivity.
Annoyingly bright sometimes.
I shine like a diamond in the sun when it comes to my optimism about life, about everything. So allow me to shine like a beacon for you. I choked myself up. I was so full of crap. All right. Sincerely, let me be optimistic and see if I can get you on board. Here's where my optimism comes from. My optimism comes from accepting this team's going to suck next year. How many times this past season did we have a conversation? I can't wait to have Rashad Beard on the show Thursday. Last year, I butted heads with Rashad Beard a number of times about this. I said, look, dude, here's where you stand. Rashad kept saying, we just want to win games. We just want to win games. We just want to win games. I understand. I know. But I think there's, and maybe this is because I'm too analytical. I'm too pragmatic. To me, there is no difference in the grand scheme. There's no difference between 0-17 and 8-8 if you miss the playoffs. It doesn't matter. In fact, pragmatically speaking, 0-17 is actually better than 8-8 if you miss the playoffs because you're getting a first round pick, an overall pick.
Unless you decide to, well, anyway.
Again, hate on the pick all you want. Objectively speaking, in a long thought format, going 0-17 is better than going 8-8 missing the playoffs. Because at the end of the day, the prize is the same. The only difference, what is the only difference between 8-8 and 0-17? 8 days you get to go, yay, we won a game. We get nothing for it. I get to celebrate for an hour and a half, and then it's back to work on Monday. Who the hell cares? You feel good for a couple of hours over something that is, in the grand scheme of things, friggin' irrelevant.
Well, except for that's what sports fans, you watch sports to see your team win. And, I don't know how that's irrelevant because as a sports fan, I want to see my team, whatever team that is, win. And if they only win 8 as opposed to 0,
okay,
that's 8 more than, I don't get it.
Let's play a game, Lonzo. Let's play a game. Let's play a game.
I'm finding it hard to believe this. I really am.
Let's play a game. I'm going to make you an offer. Here's your offer. You, Lonzo, can have 3 years for the Carolina Panthers. 3 years where you are 9-8 and miss the playoffs. 9-8, more wins than losses. 3 years where you're 9-8 but you miss the playoffs, or 5 years where you are anywhere from 3-14 to 5-12, but I guarantee you a Lombardi in 5 years. Which one are you taking?
I'm not sure I'm going to be around for that long.
Stop.
Because
pick one.
All right.
Stop with the hypothetical killing.
All right.
Pick one.
All right. I'm going to pick the former, not the latter, and here's the reason why. And here's the reason why. See, you think I'm just going to, you're just doing it because you're trying to be different. No, because in your scenario, you know what the Carolina Panthers would have done the last 3 years? What would they have done with the 9-8 record? What would they have done, Rob? They would have won the South.
Right. I'm not asking
they would have won the South.
I'm not asking you to take my hypothetical and inject it into the real world. I'm telling you right now, starting this year moving forward, 9-8, 3 years in a row, but you miss the playoffs definitively every year, but you get to celebrate more wins and losses, or
your trap scenarios. I swear, dude, it comes down to I am a fan of a team. I want to see them win. I want to see him win now. I want to see him win now.
More wins than losses, but no Lombardis. Or way more losses than win, but I guarantee you a championship.
Trap analogy, and again.
Yes, exactly.
Trap analogy, just to make me look bad, and I want to see my team win. I want to see my team win.
It is not to make you look bad.
Do you not want to see your team win?
It is not to make you look bad. It is to challenge what you are saying is a definite. I want to see more. Yes, I am offering you definitely 3 years of more wins than losses, but no championship, or 3 years of more losses than wins, but I'm guaranteeing you a Lombardi. You have to decide what is more important.
Your thing is so unrealistic. It just is.
That's what hypotheticals are.
Yeah, but there's a better chance of them going 9-8 than there is.
I'm not
having
asking
3
you
losing
about
seasons
reality,
and then go,
Lonzo.
okay. all
I'm
right.
not asking about reality. I am challenging your viewpoint that fans just want to see their team win. No, fans want to see their team win championships. So I am offering you.
Well, what kind of mind switch is this that I am dealing in reality and you're dealing in fantasy?
It's a hypothetical. You have 2 options. Your viewpoint of more wins than losses, and that's just it.
I want to see my team win. You're not gonna change my mind. I want to see my team win.
Okay, so then I'll ask you, Internet. I'll ask you, listeners. I'll ask you, Armada. I'm going to offer you one of 2 realities. I am a genie in a bottle, baby. Got to rub me the right way, honey. That's Christina Aguilera.
Could you never do that again?
I'm going to offer you 2 realities, and I guarantee you that, like Thanos, with a snap of my fingers, I can make one of these 2 realities real, and you get to pick one. I am going to offer you 3 seasons. What is happening outside that? Somebody, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought somebody just hit your car. You reacted hard.
They
I'm
were
not counting that.
I don't care. They were heading right. They were flying low and they headed right for it.
All right. So I am offering you one of 2 realities, and I'm a genie. I can make these real. Your pick. 3 years where the Panthers are either 3-14, 4-13, or 5-12. And I guarantee you a Lombardi in year 4. Or 3 years where the Panthers are either 9-8 or 10-7, but you do not get a Lombardi. I guarantee you, you either get a championship after 3 years of misery, or you get 3 years of, hey, my team is winning dramatically more than they're losing, but no Lombardi. Which one are you picking? Because I am willing to bet that the overwhelming majority of fans will suffer for 3 years of horse beep in order to have a Lombardi. I am willing to bet that because regular season wins, yes, they're fun for a Sunday, but then we all go back to work on Monday. A Lombardi lasts forever. So which one are you picking, Panthers fans? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Such an unrealistic scenario.
Yes, that's what
painted in a
happens.
way to get people on your side. Don't let him clever you.
If
That's what
your-
he is trying to clever you. Don't let him do that. He's already got a couple people.
If your
Don't let him
logic-
get anybody else.
If your logic can't stand up to a hypothetical that puts your logic to the test, then it's time to evaluate it.
What? I'm not leaving because I'm mad. I'm just finishing eating.
This is the time of year to enjoy life. Stop letting that pain in your joints keep you from doing what you want to do this spring. Hey, it's Charlie James. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking about lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. It's a fact. QC Kinetics is literally transforming lives. Their advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Pro athletes have been doing this for decades, but now this life-changing treatment is available for you. So you can walk and run and climb stairs and play golf and move again. Pain-free. No pills, no risky surgery. This is an all-natural solution. QC Kinetics has tens of satisfied patients who have reclaimed their mobility. Take action now and live your best life this spring and summer. It's a great use of your tax refund check, by the way. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. They're at 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and Nashville. 864-448-3772.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. The government will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000 with an option for higher amounts.
That's it. Yes, we all want to win more than we lose. But fans want championships, not regular season wins that never translate to anything.
You may be entitled to a significant financial reward for your Camp Lejeune claim and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement with your VA benefits fully protected. But the deadline for filing is fast approaching, so you need to act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune, and with the deadline coming, you need to call now or you may forever lose your right to a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-885-2277, 800-885-2277, 800-885-2277.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts. So you can
I have been to the top of the mountain, Zach, one time, and I'm going to tell you, it might have been the best night of my life.
Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the Free Odyssey app. CBS Sports Radio.
It's the Rob Brown Show. Rob and the great one Lonzo with you here on an Upstate Tuesday morning. I presented a hypothetical to emphasize my take on the Panthers right now, which is that you are in a situation where you need to be planning for the long term. And this is based on what I said earlier in the show. That is the best thing right now, today, this second, that any Panthers fan can do is just mentally accept in your heart now that you are going to suck this year. You're going to be bad. There's no way around it. You're just going to be bad.
That's not being a fan. A fan is being unrealistic. A fan is thinking, you know what, we could turn this thing around. That's what being a fan is. And all your hypotheticals, you're going against fandom. You're trying to act like, well, you know, this could happen. No, it can't. It cannot. They're not going to turn things around. They have shown a trend under Tepper where they're not going to do that. 9-8 would be exciting at this point. It absolutely would. And I don't see that on the horizon. Do you?
No, I think you're going to suck this year. I just said it.
And next year.
I don't think
and
next
the year
you
after
have
that.
to suck.
Okay. What is not sucking next year?
Winning the division. Genuinely.
Which 9-8 would do. I mean, in the past, although with Kirk Cousins there, we don't know. But still, 9-8 would have won it the last 2 years, maybe 3.
This team, to me, is capable of being good in 2025. In 2025. You've got to be thinking long term right now. This is planning the way a 30-year-old's planning a retirement strategy. Not me, I'm an idiot, but like a good 30, like a smart 30-year-old is looking ahead to 65 and going, how do I make sure at 65 that 65-year-old me isn't looking back at 35-year-old me and going, hey, dude, you screwed me.
Yeah, there are TV commercials about that. I don't know if you've seen
I know.
those.
They attack me personally, routinely. You know, if you just put away something, okay, whatever. I know. Shut up. To me, what this is about is planning for 2025. 2024 is a year for development. It's a year for growth. It's a year for tinkering. It's a year for learning. It's a year for developing chemistry. It's not a year for competing.
Hear that, Panther fans? Take the year off. Just take the year off.
I mean, if that's what you want to do.
I mean,
This is why I have said, if and when I ever get to the point that I own a football team, I will 0% be shy about telling fans, this is why fans don't run teams. This is why fans don't run teams. Because fans are short-sighted. They live Sunday to Sunday. Regular fans, most fans, live Sunday to Sunday. NFL teams cannot live Sunday to Sunday. They've got to be looking months, years, seasons down the line. Part of the reason that, justifiably so, a lot of people are upset about the fact that Brian Burns wasn't traded for 2 first-round picks 2 years ago is they're going, oh, the Panthers should have known this was coming. They shouldn't have been being optimistic season to season. They should have seen this coming down the line. None of us did. No, I don't think any of us knew we were going to be that bad last year. That was atrocious. But because you were that bad last year, the understanding has to be there that you don't just go from 2 to 15 to 15 and 2 in a year. Doesn't happen, especially when you're watching Gross Matos and Frankie Louvu and Von Bell and Brian Burns and all these players who have just ejected themselves from your team. This team cannot be looking and going, how do we win in 2024? You don't have the resources to do it. Sometimes the best thing you can do is recognize and realize when you're outgunned and stand down to get better and fight for another day. Sometimes you've got to walk away from a fight that you can't win instead of exhausting what resources you have to try to pull a miraculous upset in a fight that you can't win, instead of pulling those resources, stacking them with resources you'll acquire later, and getting ready for a bigger fight down the line. The bigger fight for Carolina is 2025. It's a year to go find a wide receiver and to build an offensive line so that Bryce Young can find his footing in the National Football League. It's allowing a year for Dave Canales to get his offense into Charlotte. It's a year to, let's call it what it is, rebuild the hell out of this defense, because it went from, damn, this defense is real good to, real fast. It's a year away at the best. It's a year. I think I'm being optimistic by saying 2025, but I believe 2025 can be good. However, it's going to take some real smart roster management between here and there. Not signing Kirk Cousins to a $180 million year. Atlanta, what are you doing? Golly. Kirk Cousins, however, had a real good year last year. A year that was almost as good as this sports flash is going to be.
That would be miraculous. The Atlanta Falcons have continued the trend of, you deserve that, paying Kirk Cousins a lot of money. The Falcons reached a 4-year agreement with the former Viking that will pay him $180 million with $100 million guaranteed. Cousins joined several first-round picks, including Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson. Sources are reporting that the proposal for the Big Ten and SEC champions to receive the 2 automatic buys in the 14-team playoff model have received enough pushback that the concept may be scrapped. ESPN's Heather Dennis said that the format will be debated, but that the latest plan likely won't be finalized until the playoff committee's new television deal is signed, potentially after this year's 12-team field is set and a champion is crowned. Another sturdy hour of the Rob Brown Show continues on The Fan.
There's something remarkable
CarPro.com. You now have a friend in the car buying business, and it doesn't suck. And it's free. CarPro.com.
I need that.
Consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, and other unsecured debt. If you're struggling to make monthly payments, there are special services that can significantly reduce what you pay each month by 40% or more. If you qualify, you could save hundreds of dollars each month. Most people don't know that these services are available right now to help American consumers with overwhelming credit card debt get significant savings and immediate financial relief without filing bankruptcy. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you may qualify for. They've helped consumers pay off over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times.
For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-216-3366. 800-216-3366. That's 800-216-3366. Program and services not available in all states.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting. Reduced efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's at AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
O'Reilly. If we're power ranking commercial jingles, O'Reilly's in the top 3, right?
You mean recent or in the history of mankind?
I still think, even all time, I think it's top 10 all time.
That he wants to win 2 rings in the next 5 years. My man, 2 rings in the next 5 years. You have 1 ring your entire career, and that's when you were in your prime as a great player with a great running back and an unbelievable defense behind you. Hey, Russ,
QC in the first break.
2 rings in 5 years. Exactly how are you going to do that? Are you going to KC to back up?
Miraculous. Yeah, I know. I screwed it up. What do you want?
CBS Sports Radio. The Fan.
Upstate.
WYRD.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville.
W249GL Greenville.
W246 CB Spartanburg. Always live on the Philadelphia. And check this out. For an official Rob Brown lockdown. Yeah. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Yeah. Only on
The Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate, beginning hour number 3. I am Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, on the other side of the metaphorical glass, and maybe the catchphrase of the show.
Nobody's perfect, but I am very, very close.
We're just killing it this morning. Haven't thrown anything across the desk yet. I think Lonzo wants to, and I understand it. I'm hard-headed. What do you want? Put a poll up on the Twitter feed.
I get my vengeance in other ways.
Yeah, I know. Put a poll up on Twitter at The Rob Brown Show on Twitter. I'm a magical genie. I offer you 2 realities, Panther fans. A, 3 seasons where you're 10-7 every year, but you miss the playoffs. Or B, 3 seasons where you're 4-13 every year, but in year 4, you're guaranteed a Lombardi. Which one are you taking? 10 votes. All 10 say Lombardi lasts forever. So we'll see how that finishes up.
Such an offsides type of poll.
I don't understand how. But we'll see how that poll ends up between here and tomorrow morning. So let's get away from the NFL for just a minute, because we've had a lot of that. By the way, Giants fan, my guy, Chris Lewis, president of the Triumph, and noted fan of the New York Football Giants. Excited about Brian Burns. Saquon Barkley's an Eagle. Oof. That stings. At least Russell Wilson's not your quarterback, right, Chris? Right? So, as Lonzo noted, in that 10 out of 10, 5-star would recommend sports flash that he did mere seconds ago, college football is going to go to a 14-team playoff. That is inevitable. That's going to happen. In fact, it's going to happen next year. That's not a question mark. That's a statement. However, the format of the 14-team playoff is very much up in the air right now. It is being discussed. It is being debated. And there's not even, as far as I've been able to tell, there's not even a clubhouse favorite right now. One of the plans that got pushed, as we mentioned on this show last week, was the concept of a model in which the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference would both get 3 automatic qualifier bids. There's 6. The Atlantic Coast Conference and the Big 12 would each get 2 automatic qualifier bids. That is 4 more. There's 10. The group of 5 would get 1 automatic qualifier bid for their highest ranked G5 champ. That's 11. And then we would have 3 at-large bids remaining. One of the caveats that got thrown into that plan was that the B1G and the SEC's champions would both receive the bye, the automatic bye. There would be 2 automatic buys. The longstanding belief would be that the 2 highest ranked teams would end up with one of those buys. The proposal then turned into the Big Ten champion and the Southeastern Conference champions would get the bye regardless of where they were in the final poll. Apparently, according to Heather Denich, there was so much blowback against that plan that plan has been brought back to the table. That's interesting enough. It's also 0% surprising because while I do think that the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten Conference are large enough that most of the time they are going to get their way. Most of the things they want, they're going to get because they are also, as much as they are going to be paid out the majority of the dinero, they are, like it or not, also going to be responsible for most of the dinero that comes in. However, where they are going to lose out is when they manage to have everybody else say, no, that's a real bad idea. Like they did with the 2 buys going to the 2 conference champions by default. Everybody pushed back against that. Everybody. That is, to me, quite interesting. But the real interesting part of this story, as far as I am concerned, the real interesting part of this story to me is that it appears the whole thing has been tabled for now. Apparently, the whole conversation has been tabled, and Heather Denich reporting that plan may be, for right now, up in smoke. Lonzo, I was wondering if you might have a quote from Heather Denich about what this 14-team model with the Big Ten champs and the SEC champions, about kind of where that stands right now?
Poof.
There it is. Thank you, Heather. And thank you, Lonzo, for that excellent reporting. The Heather Dennett story right now says that the whole thing is going to be tabled until the College Football Playoff Committee agrees on a new television deal. I am not shocked by that. I am not shocked by that because at the end of the day, regardless of the format we go with, the single most important thing is to juice as many dollars as possible out of the television contract. And if you leave a set of vague possibilities out there, if you leave the discussion open, what do you bring to the table? You bring to the table a clause in a discussion with the television rights bidders, those that come to the table with the ability to stroke the check for $1 billion+. You leave on the table the opportunity to say to that television provider, hey, you tell us, you give us your input, you give us your feedback on what this should look like. You give us your feedback on what you think the proper formatting should be, and we will let you be part of that conversation. And do not, for even the slightest of seconds, think that that is not an enormous chip on the table for the College Football Playoff Committee to drive up bids. It is one thing for the television networks to own exclusive rights to probably the third most overall popular sporting television event in America, behind likely only the Super Bowl and March Madness as a big picture event. It is an even bigger bargaining chip to lay down on that table when you have executives from networks A, B, C, D, and E, and they're all bidding up each other $1 million at a time. $1.1 billion, $1.2 billion, $1.3 billion, $1.4 billion. If you bring to the table that not only will you have the exclusive rights to the college football playoffs, but you will have a say in what those playoffs look like. That means that those television network executives get to go back to their big ivory tower offices. And they get to sit in those big conference rooms with those little round mound speaker phones in the middle, like in every 80s movie ever. And they get to say, hey, what's the best format for the product? What's the format that we think maximizes our return on investment for selling advertisements within these games? And if ESPN's at the table, what does ESPN think is best for this format? As many Southeastern Conference teams as are possible, going as deep into the playoffs as is possible. What would Fox think is best here? Fox might think as many Big Ten teams as possible, going as far as possible. But what if there's a third outlet that has the finances to get involved? What if Amazon Prime jumped in and Bezos, it turns out, big college football guy, and he says, we've been playing around with the NFL. We've done an NFL playoff game. It was successful enough. We've decided to do another. What if Amazon Prime steps in and Netflix steps in? I don't think Netflix has got $1 billion to throw around, but hell, what do I know? They've been putting out a lot of unique content lately. Speaking of Netflix, Lonzo, there's a Godzilla anime that I've gotten into lately. I think I might be moving back over to your side a little bit. Slowly shifting over thanks to Godzilla.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe they come to the table. Point is, if you're bringing more to the table, if theoretically, and it's a big theoretically because, again, ESPN and Fox are the two major players. But what if, let's say, Amazon and Netflix teamed up with each other? Do we have details on the contract? How much the purse is for Mike Tyson versus that one guy? Do we know how much that contract's for yet?
More money than the entire listening audience will make in their entire lifetime. I thought I saw something about 100 million, but I haven't seen the exact thing. I also saw a thing where they might be wearing headgear. But which would be the smartest move that Logan Paul could make.
There's a rumor going around that
Shane says 57 million.
57 million. That's actually shockingly low, to be honest with you. I'm surprised that's it. But let's say, Netflix is leaning into the game. They're getting back into sports, crafting their own sporting broadcasts, I guess. Let's say Amazon and Netflix, and what the hell, HBO? Why not? Let's say a conglomerate of outfits come together. A conglomerate of streaming outfits come together. And this conglomerate of streaming outlets come together and form one entity. And they go, we're all going to bid collectively $1.5 billion. And we're all going to splitsies it 3, 4, 5 ways. So that our check is bigger than ESPN and Fox's, but we're all going to get 3 games out of this deal.
I'm slow.
Oh, you son of a biscuit. Damn it. 57 million. Okay. Let's say all these streaming services do that. And they come to the table. Well, is it best for them if the SEC and Big Ten champions get automatic buys? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Again, it's a hypothetical I'm making up on my head, and I know some of us hate hypotheticals. But hypothetically, let's say an entity, a surprise entity comes to the table that maybe they can outbid Fox and ESPN. Fox and ESPN might both be on board with the concept of the automatic buys going to the B1G and the SEC. But if we do get another entity at the table, they might be in it for the drama. They might be in it for, what if there's a little guy in college football this year? What if there's a Cincinnati? What if there's a Louisville? What if there's a surprise participant from the ACC? What if there's another undefeated Florida State? What if the Big 12, striving for survival, sees Kansas State go undefeated and win a Big 12 title? It might behoove that new conglomerate, that new broadcast conglomerate, to have one of those teams become the little engine that could, in the face of the iron-fisted, maybe even ham-fisted dictators that are the B1G and the SEC, right? So now all of a sudden, there's interest in those teams not getting the opportunity to have the automatic buy. Now all of a sudden, Louisville, Cincinnati, Kansas State gets the automatic buy. Now all of a sudden, whatever SEC and Big Ten champions there are, now they got to play one additional game, which makes it, and this is statistically true, less likely that they're your national champions. The point here is I am 0% surprised that this conversation, especially with as unpopular as it is to everybody who's not, and by the way, not a top-notch team in those conferences, but to everybody outside of those conferences, every Group of 5 team, every ACC team, every Big 12 team, every Notre Dame fan, it was wildly unpopular. Why wouldn't it be? You already have a stupid big advantage in the amount of money, resources that you will be gathering and stockpiling in the age of the expanded playoffs. You're already at a massive advantage with the TV rights that you already have. Why would we roll over and give you an even bigger advantage on the actual football field? The one place that, regardless of who has more money, regardless of who has more resources, the nicer locker room, the nicest stadium, on Saturday when we play the game, and there are 22 men, 11 wearing one color and 11 wearing another, and they line up to play football, at the end of the day, at least on that day for those 60 minutes on that grass, those two teams have the exact same opportunity to win the football game. But now we're giving you even an advantage there just for existing in that conference. I am not surprised that they are putting this on the back burner until the TV deal, because to me, it's a bargaining chip for the College Football Playoff Committee to get more money out of the television network that ends up winning the thing.
I get all that, but at the same time, the Big Ten and the SEC can afford to be patient, because all the teams and conferences and everyone that's protesting the fact that they don't want them to get this, sooner or later, they'll start chipping away. And some of those teams that are protesting will suddenly be in the SEC or the Big Ten, and it won't matter anymore, because you will have technically bought all the protesters.
Not all. You're going to have Florida State, Miami, North Carolina, Virginia Tech. You're going to have.
That's what I'm talking about. You're going to all those who are beholden to the ACC or the Big 12 or whatever, eventually will be in the Big 10 or the SEC. So no longer will they complain about it, because then it will benefit them.
Even when you have those schools, there's still going to be a lot of Group of Five schools, a lot of schools that are not invited into the two big conferences. I'm not convinced
they will effectively be neutered, because none of those guys will have the kind of power that they're going against. I mean, that's what power does. They beat down the little man till he can no longer do anything, and that's what they're going to end up doing.
I don't disagree, but doesn't that, if we follow that train of thought, doesn't that effectively say that we have to now acknowledge we don't give a damn about anything except the top tier of football, right? We don't care. Sorry, Louisville. We don't give a damn about you. We don't care. We don't care about NC State.
Already the case.
We don't care about Hawaii.
As far as TV deals go, I mean, the better teams, the ones that matter the most, are the ones who get the primetime spots. The other ones, you have to find them on the U or on their own individual networks. I mean, I
was so waiting for you to make a CW joke right there.
No, man, that's a powerhouse. I'm not cracking on them.
Look at that. They start picking up some wrestling. Now we acknowledge them. I just want to hear people say it. Well, I think you're right. We all knew it already. I just wanted to hear people say it. I think that when it comes down to it, this is much like everything else. How many times have we said it? It's about the dollar and nothing else. It's about the dollar and nothing else. There are still going to be a lot of football teams that are fighting for survival, even after the forced out teams in the Atlantic Coast Conference, the teams that do not want to be there anymore: Florida State, Clemson, Miami, North Carolina, NC State, Virginia Tech. They are eventually going to leave behind the Wake Forests of the ACC, the Syracuses of the ACC. And they're going to be in that big conference. And then I agree with Lonzo. At that point, there'll be too much momentum to stop it. It will be two levels of football. We will have the SEC and the Big Ten, where the big boys play. And then we'll have a second division of college football where everybody else goes. And this just makes it look inevitable. The only reason this is being put off and put out is so that they can use it as a bargaining chip, so that when the next television contract negotiation starts getting hot and heavy, they can go, whoever it is that wants to make a deal, just know, whoever we sign the deal with, you're going to get input into the future. You're going to get input in the direction that we go. If you are trying to decide between two jobs. And those two jobs pay you a very similar salary. They both pay you a very similar set of benefits. You get the same amount of time off. They're both the same distance from your house. You get a parking spot at both, et cetera, et cetera. But one of them says, you're going to have a lot of input and say to the day-to-day operations here. And the other says, no. You're going to show up and be a good little worker and do whatever the boss says. You're probably going to take that one. That's what this is about to these TV networks, I think. All right, so there you go. Some thoughts. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, I am going to shift gears for just a minute. You know, I have told you guys many times, we are very fortunate, in my ever so humble opinion, to be living in the era of LeBron James, just like we were fortunate to live in the era of Kobe Bryant when he was on top. But there is yet another player right now that I think has entered that upper echelon of basketball. A guy that if you are not watching him ball right now, you're not a fan, whether he's on your team or not. And I think that guy hit, or should I say failed to hit, a milestone last night that is more about the greatness than it is the disappointment. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about when we come back. Rob Alonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
You see.
All right, guys, quick live read, and then we're coming right back. Y'all stay right there for me. right, dudes and dudettes, thanks for hanging out. We're back.
Spring training is here, and the free Odyssey app has everything you need to get ready for opening day. In-depth team coverage from the biggest sports radio stations across the country, exclusive interviews with players, managers, and MLB insiders, and podcasts dedicated to your favorite team. Listen live to the latest breaking news from around the league, or choose from a list of topics and listen on demand. It's all on the free Odyssey app. Download it today. AUDACY.
Do.
Brought to you by Cricket Wireless. Switch to Cricket today and get a free Samsung Galaxy A14 5G. After all, you picked Cricket this year, and they think you really, really deserve it. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options and easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Take control of your listening experience with Rewind on the Odyssey app. Missed and jaw-dropping moments? No worries.
Odyssey app makes it easy.
With Rewind, you can relive big moments from Mark Ryan, Rob Brown, Jim Rome, and more. Don't miss a beat. Just hit Rewind with the Odyssey app.
I did not, Zach. I need to get Kevin in here to update us on how all that ended up rounding out. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Here is some not so breaking news for you. Luka Doncic is really good at basketball. Like real good at basketball. Last night, Luka Doncic put up a 27-point triple-double. And this may shock you. That's disappointing. Why is it disappointing that Luka Doncic put up a 27-point triple-double? It's because he only put up a 27-point triple-double. It is disappointing because Luka Doncic was sitting on an NBA possibility. Luka Doncic already had the NBA record for the most consecutive 30-point triple-doubles in NBA history. Luka Doncic last night failed to get his 7th. My goodness, how massively disappointing for that guy. Now, with one more 20-point triple-double, he will have more consecutive 20-point triple-doubles than Michael Jordan did in 1989, and then Oscar Robertson did back in 1961, the Big O. Luka Doncic is playing basketball on a different level. And I would make the argument that Luka Doncic today probably became the front runner for the MVP. Now, in terms of Vegas odds, he has climbed that list. He is still trying to run down Nikola Jokic. And I get it because we have been saying what about Nikola Jokic for a very long time. Nikola Jokic is a walking triple-double. But Nikola Jokic being a walking triple-double is one thing. Luka Doncic being a walking triple-double, that's a 30-point triple-double guy consistently, is something to be said. Right now, Luka Doncic is 3rd in the MVP poll. Jokic is 1st. He's minus 185. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is 2nd. He is plus 260. Luka Doncic is all the way back at plus 700. 7-1 odds for Luka Doncic to end up winning the MVP. That's one thing. Him being that far behind SGA is one thing. Giannis Antetokounmpo is plus 1,800. Jason Tatum, 3,300. Anthony Edwards, 20,000 to 1. Kawhi Leonard, 25,000 to 1. So it's between, at this point, 3 guys. Jokic, SGA, Luka. If Luka keeps this streak up, if he gets MJ, if he gets the Big O, 2nd and 3rd are going to close in on each other. They're going to. By the way, I had BetMGM open right now because that's who we use for our odds as they sponsor Bet for the Cycle, which airs noon to 4 on the BetQL network. Remember a second ago, great one, when I said SGA's odds were plus 280?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're plus 350 now, which is live updated as I'm talking about it. My timing impeccable. Interestingly enough, Luka Doncic just went from plus 700 to plus 800. And Nikola Jokic just went from minus 180 to minus 250. So somehow, I don't know, maybe I'm bad at radio, Lonzo. I was about to make the argument that Luka Doncic is about to go shooting up the MVP list. He actually fell back and Jokic just put more ground between them. What?
I think we know whose fault it is. If you let him score to 30. I mean, look what you did to your guy.
Damn you, Jason Kidd. What are you doing, Jason Kidd? What are you doing? Unbelievable.
Haters, man.
I don't know. Is that clip good enough? I feel like Book's a little.
Haters, man.
I mean, I understand it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
More than most.
We'll leave it for now. I'm stunned by this. I'm stunned that a guy that has been putting up triple. He's got like 29 triple doubles on the year. I don't get it. Here's my favorite thing about Luka. Nikola Jokic has a well-rounded game. There's no questioning that. Phenomenal assist guy, incredible rebounder, and is going to get you 27 to 30 a game. Luka does the same thing, and I would make the argument Luka's got less help to do it. Luka's got Kyrie Irving. That Kyrie Irving. Yes, that Kyrie Irving. Who else is Luka doing it with? Quick, anybody. Name me, here, I'll make it easy. Name me another Maverick starter.
Kyrie Irving.
That's not Kyrie Irving.
That's it. That's the
right.
But yeah, that's just
Right.
Who, by the way, when's the last time you heard anything about Kyrie? Period. This season.
Not this season. Which, for the record,
has he played the entire?
Probably a good thing
has
for
he
Dallas.
played the entire season?
He has.
So he hasn't gotten hurt. He hasn't did anything weird that we know of.
Yeah, he's not out there pimping conspiracy theories loudly.
He's just out there playing basketball.
Yeah.
That's very strange.
He's been good, right? But he's an aging Kyrie Irving. Nicola's working with Jamal Murray, one of my favorite point guards in the game right now. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Michael Porter Jr. I mean, that's a good lineup.
So far, I've heard of all those people, and they've been good in the past, at least.
Yeah. He is working with a very, very good starting five. Dallas right now is working with Luka and Kyrie, Derrick Jones Jr., PJ Washington, and Daniel Gafford. I haven't seen a lot of Daniel Gafford jerseys lately.
Okay, Daniel Gafford. I haven't heard of him before. That's the first name that you mentioned that I didn't know.
Daniel Gafford is giving you about 23, 24 minutes a game right now. He's averaging 70% from the floor, but he's averaging 10 points a game. It's not blowing you off the table here. Luka's averaging a triple-double. Luka's carrying a Dallas Mavericks team that, by the way, in case anybody is keeping track of the Western Conference, the Mavericks are above the Lakers. They are above the Warriors. Cody Decker told me the other day, I thought about you during the show, Lonzo, when Deck said, nobody wants to see the Warriors in the first round. I was like, bro, I'm a Pelicans fan. I'd love to see the Warriors in the first round. Are you kidding me?
They're going to make it to the first round? That's
right now they're in the last play-in spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many games are left?
They'd have to go up against Sacramento, and right now it'd be hard for me not to pick Sacramento over the Golden State Warriors, who are firmly holding 4 games over 500. The Dubs are a game behind the Lakers, 2.5 games behind the Mavs and Kings, 3.5 games behind the Suns. The Pelicans are in 5th place in the West. LFG, boys. Let's go. Anyway, Luka Doncic is right now, to me, even, and you guys know how much I love Nikola Jokic. I love him as a dude. I love him as a player. 6'11", 284. Dude on the season is averaging 26 a game, averaging a block a game, 9 assists, and a dozen boards a game, shooting 59% from the floor. I love Luka Doncic or Nikola Jokic, but I don't understand how you look at Luka Doncic. I don't get how he is 8-1 to win the MVP. It's hard for me right now not to pick Luka over, certainly over SGA. I don't get how he's that far behind SGA, other than the standings, right? Other than the standings, where the Thunder currently hold the 1 seed at 45-19. But by the way, a Thunder team that is built. They've got a guy competing, won't win it, but competing for Rookie of the Year in Chet Holmgren. Josh Giddey, despite his off-the-court issues, has been good. I mean, SGA is a beast. Luka Doncic is just, the dude's just incredible right now. Keegan said, I know why you love Nikola Jokic, because he hates his job. He's one of us. That's not true. I don't hate my job. I love my job. I get it. I want to show up and work every day, but I have worked in jobs that I did hate, and you might not be wrong, Keegan. You might not be wrong. Like I said, I know it's cliche. I know I've said it a lot. Dudes, we are lucky to be living in the age of Luka Doncic, man. This kid is just, he's something else right now. Speaking of the NBA, real quick, thoughts on this great one. NBA considering propping up a standalone European league. An NBA Europe. That would be a league on its own. It's a developmental league, but it would operate independently of the NBA. I'm kind of for it, to be honest.
Is this their way of keeping foreign players out of America?
No, I think it's their way.
Like the guy you were just talking about?
I think it's their way of finding more of those guys. Because here's the thing. Guy growing up in Serbia, going to be exposed to the game, not going to have the same developmental opportunities as a kid in the U.S.
Can they compete over there with all the leagues that exist there? That's the reason why we have guys like Luka. Because of those, and there are kids over there like playing professional when they're like 14 or 15. Can they compete with that?
They could, I think, because a lot of the teams and leagues over there are associated with athletic clubs, Atletico Madrid, Chelsea Sporting Club, all these different clubs that focus primarily on soccer, but they have all these other clubs, all these other sports within the club. I think if the NBA bought in and they said, look, you can go to Atletico Madrid and you can play for their club basketball team, but we're a pro league. We are a pro league dedicated to developing the best basketball players to build a straight pipeline to the NBA. That's not something those other clubs would have. I'm all in for it. Plus, that would mean that you and I have live basketball at 4 a.m. when we get here. I'm for it. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, while we're on the basketball thing, we talked a lot about the ending of the South Carolina LSU game. What about the ending of that Duke North Carolina game on Saturday after North Carolina swept the season series? Did y'all see how that went down at Cameron Indoor? I would like to address it, and I would like to do that next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Coastal semifinal, Charleston beat Towson 61-56. Stony Brook over Hofstra 63-59. Two winners play for the title tonight. NHL tonight, the Hurricanes host the Rangers. Carolina 4 points behind New York in the race for the top spot in the net division. The Canes have won 3 in a row. The Rangers have won 2 straight. The Hornets dropped to 114-97 decision at Detroit last night. Kate Cunningham had 12 of his 22 points in the first quarter. The Detroit Star reached 1,200 points and 400 assists in his 54th game, earning those totals in a season quicker than any other player in franchise history. 1 game faster than Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas did in the 84-85 season. Miles Bridges had 24 points, but the Flint native and former Michigan State star just 50.
Oh, we're going to talk about it, Zach.
Hornets rookie Brandon Miller had 19 points.
That is exactly what I was talking about.
On the road at Memphis. The Fan Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins basketball play-by-play live all season long. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash of the Fan Upstate.
Up to minute upset traffic took some ugly delays south on I-85 Highway 101 that wrecked. It was earlier shutting down the freeway. Everything's off to the right shoulder. Still seeing a huge back up there. It's just pretty much at a standstill. Continuing south, you're going to sit in delays there as you move down towards Pelham Road. Sold out vehicle in the right lane, so pretty much backed up there. Northbound I-85 near Augusta Road. But that right lane still taken away, so we're still seeing delays back beyond White Horse Road. The new South 98.9 WRD traffic center. I'm Lloyd Hughes. I'm a fan. Upstate. Hi, I'm Kamiko, the founder of Rico Hot Chicken. When we started our family restaurant, we were also raising a family. So let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Our tech car was there to reward us on all of our business needs. Now we have a job life.
You change your X picture?
No? If I did, it wasn't on purpose.
Is that another Rob Brown then? Oh, no, it's Facebook. My bad.
Oh,
Never mind.
okay.
Never mind. I was on the other thing.
I was like, what did I do?
Planning for spring at Lowe's means big savings on outdoor power equipment, and Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Buy one select Ego string trimmer, leaf blower, or mower kit. Get one select 56-volt battery free. That's up to a $299 value. Power through spring with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selection varies by
I don't know if they're disrespected, James. I would like them to see them lose every single game that they play. I don't know that's disrespect.
That's not long.
It's not hard.
It's perfect.
It starts here. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
With Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, you can check if you're paying too much for home insurance, because giving you options is the right thing to do.
Oh yeah, like bringing brownies to a dinner party. But I never bring brownies with nuts because not everyone likes nuts, so they wouldn't eat those brownies. And even people who do like nuts will still eat brownies without them. Why? Because they're brownies.
But still, it's the right thing to do.
She's right.
Rates with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer.
She's very right.
From the Ingalls Market Studio,
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
from the free Odyssey app, Rise and shine, sports fans.
Duke, North Carolina. It is considered by many, nay most, to be the rivalry, certainly in college basketball. Does it qualify as the best rivalry in basketball, period? It's hard for me to say no.
I don't really know of any other rivalries in college basketball.
I mean, there's Kansas State. I would say probably up there. I mean, any of your natural rivalries are basketball rivalries, but like Duke, North Carolina transcends basketball rivalries. As far as all basketball goes, like Lakers, Celtics, great rivalry, but it's nowhere close to what it used to be.
I was going to say it was. It's
Yeah.
not anymore, really.
Yeah. I mean, Lakers, Clippers doesn't have this fire. Knicks, Lakers, Knicks, Celtics. again, like 30, 40 years ago, maybe. Not now. So at the conclusion of the North Carolina Duke game, North Carolina, of course, gets that dub again. And after they got that dub, the North Carolina players started taking a victory lap around the floor at Cameron Indoor and waving goodbye to the Duke fans. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being athletic supporters. We appreciate it. The Duke fans, the Cameron Crazies, as they are called, were not particularly happy with it. Great one and took to launching a nice little combination of expletives and like full glasses of beer and water and Gatorade down at the players on the court who were saying, "Hasta luego, muchachos. We'll see you when we see you."
Were there any injuries?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. But obviously the potential is there because if dudes are launching whole ass beers down at players, there's the potential a cup hits an eyeball or something.
I will tell you, as someone who's been spit on and had glass thrown at and stuff in high school football, it doesn't make you happy. It does enrage you to a degree where you would like to get a hold of those people. So a shout out to the players who just left the court.
You didn't go full Malice at the Palace?
They had a fence underneath the stadium in Steubenville, Ohio, and all the some of them toothless fans would show up and would spit and throw stuff and yell things.
At high school football players?
Yeah, they take it serious in Steubenville. Not a whole lot else there, you know. We were warned before we went to not look back, and if you do, make it brief, but you can't help it on your way out of the stadium, and to keep your helmet on.
Keep your helmet on.
Yes.
Can we go? All right.
So this is nothing new, is what I'm saying, as far as fans throwing things and stuff like that. And it was a student section throwing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it was the arena, but I'm assuming it was predominantly students. Yeah. I'm just gonna say.
Have you ever thrown anything on the court of the field?
I have not.
Me either.
I have not. I mean, expletives. You know, if a dude comes over and starts running junk at me, I'm gonna run junk back at that guy for sure.
Yeah,
sure.
I just would. If I'm very disappointed at the play on the field, I'll just leave early.
I don't leave games early. Never have, unless my team's just not even trying. You know, unless they're just not. If the effort's not there and it's obvious, then I'm out. But no, I've never thrown anything at a player. Here's all I'm gonna say.
Well, the people who have, would they admit to it? Is anybody listening? Have you ever thrown anything down on the field or on the court?
None of our listeners would.
They're pretty heated as far as their passion for their team. So I'm just curious about that.
Your rival kicks your backside in your stadium. Your rival's roster rolls over to the sideline and starts running smack at you after the game is over and after you took the L. What's the reaction? Here's all I'm going to say. If the Cameron Crazies are throwing the double birds back at the Carolina players, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I don't care. All right. They're just words. They don't hurt my feelings.
Okay. So, but you're not good with throwing stuff on the.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I get it. It is a heated rivalry. You genuinely have hit the crescendo of rivalry into hatred. And on top of that, they swept you this year. You didn't get a dub over them this year. The straight regular season sweep in that rivalry.
So we suck against you, so we're going to make you feel it by throwing stuff at you.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with, I feel like, and you guys know me, I'm anti-conflict. I don't like fights. I barely like debates. That's why I never have them on this show. I don't like them. As anti-conflict guy, can we go back to shaming people? Can we go back to shaming people who deserve to be shamed? I am tired of this don't shame people stuff. No. Some people need to be shamed. Some people have got to be shamed. And I'm going to go ahead and go with people launching drinks because they're mad about a game should be shamed for it. Now, you want to flip the bird? You want to drop a couple of F-bombs on that team while they're over there rubbing it in your face that they just beat you again, that they just swept you? I'm totally good with that.
And really, all that does, that's just for you. A lot of times those guys, those people on the field, especially if you're up in the stands doing it, they don't even see you. That's you expressing how you feel.
Yeah, man, sometimes you got to let it out.
It's just about you. So it doesn't really, I guess if it helps you, go ahead. But I mean, does it really help you?
I mean, it helps me. I had a.
So yeah, I think you're just as angry when you leave after doing that. Even more so, probably.
I had a golf shot this past week, and I put back-to-back birdies together. That doesn't happen for me very often. Felt real good. Got to, I think, 12. Stepped up to the box. Been smoking the rock, and just shanked a drive like 90 degrees off the tee. Oh, it was awful. And just dropped a real out F-bomb. My buddy's like, you feel better? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because that's the only thing there are some circumstances you can't do anything about. You can't fix it.
I'm going to declare that I am such a good person. I am not going to pull the clip where Rob just said smoking the rock. I'm not going to do that. I could, but I'm not going to do that.
You got any more crack, Joe Rogan? Sometimes something real bad happens and there's just nothing you can do about it. I am good with dropping an F-bomb or letting the double birds fly. If those college kids are old enough and mature enough to walk over, stand in front of the loudest student section in college basketball and start waving so long, farewell, that German word, goodbye. I don't know how to say Avita.
Wiedersehen.
That's the one. I was trying to do Sound of Music, and then halfway through, I'm like, I don't know how to say it. Anyway, if they're good enough, if they're mature enough to hit that, then they're mature enough to see a middle finger or hear an F-bomb. They're in college. We ain't dumb. We know it's a thing. You can't be launching Gatorades down at the kids, man. You can't do it. Even if you are the kids. I love that rivalry. I'm not involved with it. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't care. But we can't do that. It just that kind of stuff's got to be cut out. I don't care if it is the best rivalry in basketball. We, ladies and gentlemen, have 1 hour left to go. Now, we need to start that hour on a high note, the highest of notes, because it's going to be all intensity. We got breaking news coming out of the NFL. We got to talk about all the moves from yesterday. We got a lot of sports to get to. So to set the mood, to set that high excitement mark, it's time for Lonzo's Sports Flash.
Just because we used German on the show doesn't mean you can flag us, Germany. The Carolina Panthers made a number of moves yesterday as free agency began around the league. The biggest was a trade that sends edge rusher Brian Burns to the New York Giants for a second rounder this year and a fifth rounder next year. Carolina also signed guards Robert Hunt from the Dolphins and Damian Lewis from the Seahawks. Hunt won 91% of his pass blocks last year, while Lewis allowed just 3 sacks on 921 pass blocks. Utility defender Frankie Louvu signed with the Commanders, while defensive end Yetur Gross-Matos moved on to the 49ers. The Atlanta Falcons have continued to trend of paying Kirk Cousins a lot of money. The Falcons reached a 4-year agreement with the former Viking that will pay him $180 million with $100 million guaranteed. Another big old sturdy hour of the Rob Brown Show continues next on the Fan Upstate. Thank you, Keegan. I've been practicing. Would you forget your name, Lori? I don't know. Rob's been saying Minnesota, and he's probably right. But I don't know. Minnesota just signed Sam Darnold, didn't they? Wasn't that Minnesota that signed Sam Darnold? Maybe he goes to Denver.
Big old sturdy hour.
I'm guessing possibly Denver because I don't know where else.
This is Seattle and Minnesota now. Because, so Minnesota's going Sam Darnold.
Right.
Apparently.
That's what I was just saying. So I don't think, I mean, I doubt they're signing Sam to be their backup. They could. Denver is the only team I can really think of that still needs a quarterback.
Yeah.
But would he work with Sean Payton? Maybe.
It's not a no.
Or it's not inconceivable that he ends up being a backup somewhere. It's unfortunate, but hopefully he's not out of the league. But he hasn't been cut yet, right? Bears haven't done anything yet. There could be this thing where the Bears just keep him and go Marvin Harrison Jr. Just because it's unlikely doesn't mean it's impossible.
Correct.
And they still have 2 first-round picks, right? They haven't moved those for anything. When's their second pick? Is like 8 or something like that?
8.
So would there still be a quarterback available if you took Marvin Harrison Jr.?
JJ McCarthy and Michael Penix
Yeah,
Jr.
so I mean, you could get both of those and keep Justin Fields if you want it.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show, it's Bet MGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan. Bet MGM Tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. The latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. Bet MGM Tonight, exclusively on Sunday.
No, Rivals is spelled with a V, not a B. I didn't do it with my fingers.
Stupid fingers.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Yeah, buddy. Final hour of the Rob Brown radio program. Goes right now. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, my friends, to the show. That ends in 58 minutes, as a matter of fact. I am Rob Brown, the great Lonzo, on the ones and the twos, in charge of not just this radio program, but every radio program you've ever enjoyed in your life. Lonzo was the one who made it happen.
Winning.
Glad to have you with us. You want to be a part of the show? You can do it. Looking for you, Panthers fans. Big day yesterday. Most of it not great news. A little bit of good news. A lot of not great news for the Carolina Panthers yesterday. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone's available for you at 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. You can text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the radio broadcast. You can tweet X post me at the Rob Brown Show. You can tweet X post Lonzo at Lonzo onward. And you can get at all of us at the Fan Upstate. Texter said, I heard Coach K threw the first water bottle. Mike Krzyzewski's better than that, and we all know it, okay?
Plus, he's really old, so I'm not sure he could get that bottle out of the stands. I know he looks like he's in decent shape, but still.
How old is Coach K?
I'm going to go 78.
77. You're all over it.
It's close.
Yeah, all over it. I got to tell you, man, good shape. Here's my only question. Does Mike Krzyzewski dye in that hair black? Is he just fermenting that stuff? I don't know.
Personally, he's not doing it. He's got people.
Yeah, is it done? I guess is the way I should phrase it. Is Mike Krzyzewski having his hair done, or does Mike Krzyzewski genuinely have them real good genetics? Like them good genetics? That's the only question I got about Coach K.
Used to have an Uncle Kermit.
Uncle Kermit.
Who was married to Ann Opal.
Okay.
And he was dyeing that stuff. and it looks like it's about the same color that Coach K is doing.
Yeah.
I'm going dye.
You're going dye.
I'm going dye. Could be a rug, though.
It could be. Coach K's got them good genes, man. I don't think you stay that far ahead in the world if you don't have them good genes, you know? Anyway, there's your dumb question of the day.
James says, I am of the belief that Kirk figured out the NFL. Yes, he did.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, he did. He should be everyone's hero who wants to make money, being pretty much an average guy at what they do.
I mean,
he's not bad. He's not great. But he is really, really good at making money.
Statistically speaking, Kirk Cousins was actually real good last year. When his Achilles popped, he had a 103.8 rating. That was the, I think, third highest of his career, which dates back, by the way, to 2012.
Here's the thing. You don't go to see Kirk Cousins play.
That's true.
You go to see the team that he's playing on because they're probably going to be pretty good. You go to see Patrick Mahomes play. You go to see Josh play. You go to see some of those guys play, but you're never going to say, I don't believe there's anyone out there who says, man, Kirk Cousins playing. I got to go watch.
Got to go see Kirk. You like that? I like Kirk Cousins a lot, man. I like him as a dude for sure. I would agree with that. I don't think anybody's ever gone, I got to go see Kirk Cousins play. At the same time, like you pointed out, the dude's kind of figured it out at this point.
Kirk might be rolling around this area for all the Coles that are around here, so he won't be recognized as much. You might be strolling in Coles, and there's Kirk.
I ain't a bit. Listen, I'm big on Team Coles, man.
If you met Kirk Cousins or you saw Kirk Cousins at Coles, would you go out and talk to him?
Yeah, I think I would. He came across in that documentary as such a likable dude. I feel like he's the type of cat that would absolutely be fine if you rolled up just to say howdy.
I would go up and say, excuse me, do you work here? Could you help me find the best look for me?
I feel like Kirk's 100% Zoe. I feel like Kirk Cousins 100% going to help you pick out the correct short sleeve flannel to wear.
I know? Exactly.
I trust Kirk Cousins with my fashion advice. I don't know, man. I just Atlanta. How are we justifying 4 years for Kirk Cousins? How are we justifying that? 4 years. My man's going to be 40. He's going to be a man. He's 40 when this thing's done. And the problem wouldn't be a 4-year contract. The problem is $100 million of it is guaranteed. Which means if you were to let Kirk Cousins go after year one, he would have a Russell Wilson-esque dead cap hit.
I wonder what his combined contract, since he's been in the NFL, how much money this guy has made.
A lot.
And compare that to some of the other big money makers in history. He's got to be up there.
Let's see. Kirk Cousins' career earnings $331.7 million.
Does that count this current contract? Because he hasn't signed it yet, right? So,
He has not signed it yet.
so I'm guessing you probably throw that in there too.
That's so much money, dude. Like, good on Kirk Cousins. And again, last year, career, my man was on over a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio last year. I mean, you statistically can't do better than that. That's about as good as it can be done. I'm impressed. Again, it's not a bad pickup for Atlanta in regards to what can be done moving forward. It's not a bad pickup for the ATL in that you got a shot at winning the division next year. But as we have talked about multiple times so far this morning, where do you draw the line between winning and winning long term? Like, where's that line statistically drawn at for you?
I will say I'm disappointed. Kirk Cousins isn't even in the top 10 most earnings of all time.
Oh, I'm sure he's not.
Can you guess who number one is? It's not who you think it is, probably.
It's not Mahomes. It's
Mahomes is not on the list yet, but his career is pretty young.
Yeah.
So think about it. It has to be people with a fairly long career.
Brady?
Brady's number 2.
Brady's number 2.
Yes.
What is it? Is it a relatively modern
They're
player?
still playing. They were injured last year.
Okay. Quarterback, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback injured last year.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I should.
I could really give it away and say he played one play.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Is the highest career earner.
According to this, he's made 342.5, followed by Brady at 332.96. Number 3 is Matthew Stafford. Matt Ryan is number 4.
Matt Stafford.
Matt Ryan,
baby.
Matt Ryan, number 4. Drew Brees, number 5. Ben Roethlisberger, number 6. Russell Wilson comes in at 7.
I knew Russell was going to be somewhere because that contract Denver gave him was stupid, hence the $85 million cap hit.
Eli at 8, ahead of Peyton at 9.
Wow.
And then Phillip Rivers at number 10.
Thanksgiving dinner fun around the Manning family household.
I mean, it was close. Eli had 252 and Peyton 248.
Damn, Pepe, what were you doing?
And I think Eli is probably catching, if not caught him in endorsements now, because he's like in all kinds of commercials now too.
They both are.
But thanks to the Manning cast, it's really helped Eli out, I think.
For sure. Now that's I'm assuming that's just football earnings, correct?
Yeah, that was just on the field earnings.
Okay. Eli got fat stacks after he knocked off Brady and the Pats, didn't he? Like, that's got to be it. That contract he signed after he won that Super Bowl.
As far as money goes, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is that much of a surprise, but Tom Brady kept taking less money.
He did, and
Yeah.
I think I always thought Brady deserved more credit for that than he got. But also, he spent the majority of his career married to, at the time, the richest woman on planet Earth. Like, Tom Brady had Tom Brady's career and still was not the breadwinner in his own household. You understand why I said for so many years?
According to the internet, he was not the only guy in his own household. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
This is why for so many years I said the only reason you dislike him, but I say you, I mean all of you that fall into this, the only reason you dislike Tom Brady is because you ain't Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady has the life that every one of us said as a kid we wanted growing up. Every one of us. I'm going to be an NFL quarterback. I'm going to win a bunch of Super Bowls. I'm going to do this. Every one of us said we wanted to be, when we drew up our perfect lives in elementary school, every one of us wanted to be Tommy Touchdowns. married a supermodel, won a bunch of Super Bowls, NFL quarterback. Every one of us wanted to be Tommy Touchdown when we were a kid. And if you say you didn't, you're lying to yourself or me.
You think Kirk Cousins will be at Six Flags? That might be a good reason to go. That's still open in Atlanta, right? I haven't been in a while.
Is Six Flags over Georgia still open? I have no idea, to be honest with you.
I think so.
I genuinely have no idea.
I'm back past the weight limit, so I can't ride anything, but you know.
I don't get it, Atlanta. I don't get that contract. I'm sorry. I don't understand that contract. In what world are you signing up for 4 years of Kirk Cousins?
It's still open, by the way, Six Flags. I'm surprised you haven't been there since you've been here. Not an amusement park guy?
I'm not an amusement park guy. I'm just not a go out of my way for an amusement park guy.
How about Carol?
Check out
Carowinds is not that far away.
I have not been to Carowinds yet. I've been told by a lot of people I need to go to Carowinds. I just haven't made it yet.
It's a knockoff Kings Island to me, but
it's
that's in Ohio. So
okay, that checks out. Have not been there. They have apparently they either have or had like an aviation themed aspect to that park that I've always kind of wanted to check out because I'm a big plane dork. I got to get to Carowinds. I've done Dollywood like 3 times, but that's because the fiance's La Familia, they're big Dollywood people. They're Dollywood people by the way, I have a sincere question. And I know it's not as relevant or prevalent here as it is when I live down in Florida, but I know there's a few of y'all. You people who do Disney like 3-4 times a year, how the hell do you afford it? Like, even if you're rich.
I still have never been. I've always wanted to go, but I still have never been.
It's worth going. I shouldn't say I love, because I'm not one of those people. Like, even when I lived in Florida, and if you live in Florida, you get like a local discount. Like, everything's like 10% off or something. Even when I lived in Florida, it was like once every other year or so. But those of you, and I know there's a few of you around here that hit Disney like 3-4 times a year. Number one, do you not get bored of it? And number two, how the hell do you afford it?
It looks really expensive.
It's super expensive.
See, I haven't been in Dollywood, but I get sick when I go into the mountains. That's the only thing that's stopping me.
Dollywood's great. I enjoy it. Dollywood's a spot. Like Dollywood's a one-day park. You know what I mean? Like Disney World, it's really Orlando. There's like 9 parks down there. There's 3 Disney parks. There's 3 Universal parks.
That's where I want to. I would like to go to Universal. I don't care about Disney World so much. I always wanted to go to Universal.
Disney's good. I would say Disney's good. The older you get, your priority in parks shifts a little bit, you know? Like when you're a kid, Magic Kingdom's the way to go. That's where all the Disney characters are. And then you have Hollywood Studios, which is a Disney park, but it's kind of more focused on the movie elements of everything. But that's Universal Studios as well. And then once you get to be an old like me, Epcot jumps way to the top of the list. Epcot's got the World Pavilion. You know, there's like 30 different countries and mini parks around it. And they have all the food and the drink. And then there's the tech and science world, and that's all good stuff. I don't know, man. Like, I don't understand how people go to that same spot 3-4 times every year and love it every time.
I'm looking to see if Carowinds has a senior citizen discount. I'm eligible, by the way, for those. I just haven't used them yet because I think once you use one, it's too late. It's over. So where should I use my first senior citizen discount?
Golden Corral.
It's tempting.
James said, isn't this the same team that paid a ton of money to get rid of Matt Ryan? Yes, it is.
Which is why he's on that list.
Yeah. Matt Ryan got $40 million worth of dead cap charge to get out of Atlanta. That means $40 million that went into his pocket to not play for the Atlanta Falcons anymore. And it's still not even half of what the Denver Broncos have to pay to Russ Wilson to not play there anymore.
Would Atlanta have been better if he had stayed?
Yeah. Yes. I would have taken, I genuinely, in week 9, if I was Atlanta, I'd have called CBS and paid Matt Ryan's buyout contract to get him out of the booth and back onto the field. I think Matt Ryan coming 10 weeks out of the box, out of the booth, would have been better than Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, we saw what Flacco did. I mean, so,
Yeah.
and Matt Ryan, I believe, is younger. So,
Again, Atlanta would have won the division last year. Atlanta would have won the division last year if they had not Desmond Ridder back there. If they had not Desmond Ridder, it would have been a different ball game. It's mind-numbing to me. That is why they had to go get a Kirk Cousins. And again, it's not the signing Kirk Cousins that I have a problem with. It's not a Kirk Cousins signing that I have a problem with. The problem is a 4-year, $180 million deal. What are we doing? What are we doing? Now, maybe 4 years from now, I'm eating these words. Maybe 4 years from now, hell, maybe the Falcons go back to back NFC South championships. And I'm sitting here going, all right, best $180 million that Atlanta ever spent. Maybe. But I'm not betting on it.
did you think he broke it?
Yeah, I really did. I didn't even touch it, though.
Yeah, you put some power behind it, and it was just a right angle, I think.
I don't know. It's happened before. It's very weird. Maybe this signing works out. But that just feels like a hell of a lot of money to pay to a guy who, again, was having a magnificent season statistically. When he got hurt, he was already over 2,300 yards, 18 tutties to 5 picks. And here's the thing, and this is where the signing does make sense. The signing makes sense because for a lot of these guys that have seasons like Kirk Cousins had last year, it is more than fair, as it is with quarterbacks who fail, to look at the team around them and evaluate. There's the old phrase, quarterbacks get too much of the credit and they get too much of the blame. A lot of QBs have success and a lot of QBs fail, not because of their talent or their skill set, but because of the talent and skill set or lack thereof of the guys around him. Kirk Cousins absolutely benefited from having the skill set that the Vikings had built around him last year. Starting with Jordan Jefferson, they had a good rotation built around him last year, and he benefited from that. But here's the good news. He comes to Atlanta. I have made the argument already that the Atlanta Falcons, without a doubt, the Atlanta Falcons have a tremendous skill position set around and not a bad offensive line. Not a bad offensive line at all. So he moves from Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne, TJ Hawkinson, and who was his running back last year? Madison last year. To a team now where he's going to end up with Drake London, a first-round pick, Kyle Pitts, a first-round pick, Bijan Robinson, a first-round pick, backed up by Tyler Algier, Van Jefferson, who was very successful in LA before he moved down to Atlanta, a good offensive line. I mean, Kirk Cousins is in a great spot. And let's call it what it is, great one. If he is able to maintain the consistency in Atlanta that he had before the injury he suffered last year in Minnesota, Kirk Cousins will be good in Atlanta. He'll be good in Atlanta. And yes, absolutely, I believe this team is the odds-on favorite right now to win the NFC South. In fact, let me go see if the BetMGM lines are out on that. Would you take that bet right now? Atlanta's the best team in the NFC South with Kirk Cousins at the helm?
Yes. If anyone's going to give them competition, it would be Tampa Bay. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and even with Tampa Bay, I mean, they brought back Baker Mayfield. They brought back Mike Evans. Let's see. NFC South winner. Yeah, Falcons even money odds on favorite. Falcons plus 100, Tampa plus 260, Saints plus 300, Panthers plus 1,400. That's right. That's about right. That's exactly what I would have thought. Texas said Falcons lost to a Vikings team last year without Kirk Cousins. Dude, because of Desmond Ridder. I got into this conversation, almost a debate with my friend Trista Crick from BetMGM tonight last week.
Name drop.
You're damn right it's a name drop. It's called a humble brag here in the business. Every Thursday at 8:20, I go on BetMGM tonight with Ryan Horvat and Nick Ashush and Trista Crick. And we had this conversation because I said last week, listen, Atlanta's ending up with Kirk Cousins or Justin Fields. And I said last week, I'm leaning Kirk Cousins. And they said, do you think he's that much of an upgrade? And I said, Desmond Ridder lost Atlanta at least 4 games last year by being Desmond Ridder, including a game at the end of the year that could have, with some help, won them the division. But he blew it. He's bad. Yes, this is an upgrade. This is an upgrade. It's just a real expensive one. But we'll see how it works out. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
This break's a little bit shorter because someone didn't update something, but I don't care. So
Wednesday, sunshine high around 73. Then by Thursday, sunny high 79. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Blucci on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 45. Ingles Markets is proud to sponsor the Mark Ryan Sports Spin. From the playing fields to the stands to your own living room, Ingles Markets has everything you need to fuel your athlete and satisfy all the hungry fans in your life. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember,
it is surprising, Zach, that Rob hasn't been there because he seems to be a thrill seeker.
I love a roller coaster, man. Love a roller coaster. You went with the biggest one, the biggest theme park challenge for me right now is that about 6 years ago, I got the flu, like one of those flu bugs that like changes your life, you know? Got the flu, and about 2 days into this thing, I was getting hammered. About 2 days into this thing, I got up to get out of bed, and I never dealt with this before. I got a case of vertigo, and it has been with me ever since.
Which is why I can't go to the mountains right now.
Never had it before. Suddenly, if I spin this chair in a circle, I will fall out of it with vertigo. So it went from, I used to ride roller coasters. I'd go to a theme park and ride it 1,000,000 times in a day. Now I can ride 2 or 3 and my day's over. See this drama yesterday between Saquon Barkley and Tiki Barber. So Tiki Barber, of course, used to be a running back for the New York Football Giants. Saquon Barkley now also used to be a running back for the New York Football Giants. He, however, committed the mortal sin of signing with the division rival. Saquon Barkley could not strike a deal. The Giants did not want to strike a deal with Saquon Barkley. So he agreed to one with the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, an NFC Eastern division rival. Barkley wanted a long-term deal with the Giants. He was vocal about it last year when he got tagged. The Giants did not give it to him, but he got a good deal from the Eagles, a 3-year, $37.75 million deal with $26 million guarantee. Now, most guys would be happy for Saquon Barkley. He got that cheddar, not Tiki Barber. Tiki Barber on his show on WFAN radio up in New York, along with a friend of mine, Sean Marash, said, quote, "Good luck. You're dead to me." Now, Lonzo and I have had this conversation in the past about guys in this job because we kind of have to walk a line where we have a foot in the world of analyst who knows ball and a foot in the world of fan. I'm a bit of a fan. Now, I've told you my fandom spurs from the fact that when our local teams do good, I get paid more, and I'm a big fan of that. Woo! And I don't hesitate to admit it. But, you know, we kind of got a foot in both worlds. Tiki Barber doing the same thing here. As a Giants fan said, "You're dead to me." But that's not the end of the story. My favorite part was when Saquon decided to fire back at Tiki on Twitter. He said, quote, "LOL, yup, you're the prime example of loyalty to a team. I got the deal I wanted, secured more money, which wasn't given to me before. So if fans are going to hate me for that, so be it. But I never turned my back on my teammates and always had theirs." Ooh, running back drama. I like it a lot. Now, because we're talking about running back drama, has free agency taught us the value of a running back? Why? Because we have got some contracts that have been signed. The top 5 guys that were available via free agency: Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Austin Ekeler, Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs. Saquon Barkley is an Eagle. Austin Ekeler signed with the Commanders. Tony Pollard replaces Derrick Henry with the Titans, and Josh Jacobs is now a Green Bay Packer. Can't be mad about this one. Great one. It's in the context of a story.
I know.
Okay.
But you've butchered this entire day, and I'm scouring. And so, I mean, you know, I still have 2 on the list, but I mean, you can get rid of those in the next 20 minutes, and then we have nothing.
Of the 5, 3 of them played on 1-year deals last season. Barkley was on a 1-year, $10 million deal. Pollard was on a 1-year, $10 million deal. Jacobs was on a 1-year, $12 million deal. The other 2 were in the final season of a 4-year deal. Derrick Henry was at 4 years for $50. Austin Ekeler, 4 years for $24.5 million. For a second season in a row, running backs are being, depending on who you ask, devalued. Front offices are moving that money, it would appear, more towards the offensive line rather than running backs. They are deciding, hey, there's 2 ways to establish your run game. 1 is get great running backs. 2 is build a great offensive line. And here's the thing. When you build a great offensive line, not only does it help a moderate running back become good, a good running back become great, and a great running back become Pro Bowl, you also help your quarterback. Titans coach Brian Callahan said a couple of days ago when they were asked about Derrick Henry and the upgrade the Titans were trying to make to their offensive line, he said, quote, "You want guys that can carry the ball, but you want guys that can protect and the guys that can be dynamic. Sometimes that's 1 player, sometimes that's 3. 187 players are on multi-year contracts worth $10 million annually. 187. Let's play the Rob Brown Show home edition, shall we? Pencils up, kids. 187 NFL players are on multi-year contracts worth $10 million. Lonzo, how many of those 187 are running backs?
Let me go with 0.
You're very close. It's 5. 5 out of 187. Those running backs are Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, and Aaron Jones. Now, you're ready for what I would label a Mark Ryan stat? I love it. I genuinely love Mark finds these weird numbers that correlate with success or failure, and I love these stats. He does a great job digging these up. Here's one. Since 2013, Lonzo, no Super Bowl champion has paid its leading rusher more than $2.5 million. 2.5. Not a single Super Bowl champion since 2013 has paid its leading rusher more than $2.5 million.
Is that the lowest amount paid to a player? I mean, a player position? Is there any position lower than that? Like maybe offensive guard or something?
Honestly, I can't imagine the answer to that. Yes, I can't. The last guy to be paid more than $2.5 million and win a Super Bowl was in 2012 when the Giants were led by Ahmad Bradshaw, who I think was making like 3. So even that, I think if you bump that number up to $5 million, I bet it would go back a few more years. Maybe back to the Saints in 2009? Maybe? With Reggie Bush? Maybe? I'm not even sure because he would have, I think he was still on his rookie contract in year 3 when that happened. So he might not have been paid more than 2.5 in a single year. But I think at this point, like, it's gotta suck to be a top-notch running back at this point, right? It's gotta suck because the valuation has plummeted. Now, speaking of one-year deals worth more than $2.5 million, Aaron Jones got cut by the Packers yesterday, is expected to sign a one-year $7 million deal with the Minnesota Vikings today. Jones spent 7 seasons with Green Bay. He is 3rd all-time amongst the franchise's rushers, was released Monday to make room for fellow running back Josh Jacobs, who reached a 4-year, $48 million deal with the Packers. Jones will join a reshaped Vikings offense seeking to replace Kirk Cousins. It looks like they will do so with a 1-year deal with Sam Darnold. Of course, the Vikings released running back Alexander Mattison last week. So Minnesota has Ty Chandler on the board right now, who amassed a whopping 327 yards from scrimmage last year.
Attaboy, Ty.
Hey, he only played 4 games, in fairness. Jones could provide an upgrade for Minnesota after rushing for 226 and 3 touchdowns in Green Bay's surprising 2-game postseason run last year, but he is also coming off his least productive regular season. On the season, 142 carries, 656 yards, 2 touchdowns since his rookie year of 2017. The 2020 Pro Bowler has averaged 5 yards per carry over 97 career games, rushing for 5,940 yards, scoring 63 total touchdowns, 45 on the ground, 18 through the air, with his 272 passes for 2,076 yards. I don't know, man. Even on a 1-year deal, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to pay that guy. All right, so we're talking free agency. Winners und losers. You got to stop talking in German, Robbie. You're going to get us banned in half of Europe.
Come on, dude. Stop.
I know, that's my bad.
What are you doing?
Let's talk NFL free agency winners and losers because I've got a few already. Let's start with this. As much as we just knocked it, it's a good year, unless you're Derrick Henry, to be a running back free agent. Tony Pollard got signed with the Titans to replace Derrick Henry on a good deal. We talked about Madison. It's a good year. DeAndre Swift 3 years, $24 million deal. Now, he landed the first deal of the day. 16.5 in practical guarantees over his first 2 seasons in Chicago. Good deal. Some of the guys were getting better, but the valuation's there. What about the Eagles right now? The Eagles get Saquon Barkley. By the way, do the Eagles have the front office in football, like the best front office in football right now? It's kind of hard to say no at this point. Offensive guards coming up big. Panthers got 2 of them, man. They got Lewis. They got Robert Hunt out of Miami, 2 guys that boast a 94% or better pass block win rate. Between your 2 guards, you're giving up less than a sack. You're giving up a sack every, 19 out of every 20, or 1 out of every 20 pass plays. You're giving up a sack. That's, between your 2 guards at least, a maximum of 2 sacks a game. I'd say if you're Carolina, you're thrilled about that number next year. Thrilled about that number next year. Who else is a winner? I'm going to go with guards are winners right now. I'm going to go, how about the Lions defense this year? Kind of a struggle last year, but they got Carlton Davis out of Tampa Bay. Tampa needed cap relief. That makes Tampa worse, by the way, because they picked up a 3rd-round pick for a guy that had an up-and-down season last year, but he's 27 and is a man coverage guy that was asked to blitz a lot last year, not his strength. You got Aiden Hutchinson. You added Marcus Davenport on a 1-year, $6.5 million deal out of New Orleans. I like that defense. The Miami Dolphins struggling right now. Cut Jerome Baker. Cut cornerback Xavier Howard as cap casualties. Now you've lost Robert Hunt. You lost Andrew Van Ginkel. You lost Christian Wilkins, who signed a huge deal with the Raiders. By the way, the damn Raiders. The Raiders made, obviously, great one, the biggest splash in free agency by getting Gardner Minshew to come to Vegas. You're telling me, listen, I'm not a reality TV guy, Zoe. I want cameras on Gardner Minshew in Las Vegas every day as long as he's there. As long as he's there.
See, I thought you were going to talk about Christian Wilkins going there and being paired up.
Second biggest move.
Yeah, okay. All right. Because Crosby and Wilkins will be a scary duo.
I'll tell you right now, Patrick Mahomes can't be thrilled about what the Vegas Raiders are doing right now. Wilkins, Crosby. If you can't beat him, sack him.
Although I think he is like the best quarterback against blitzes and things like that. So I guess, I don't know.
But here's the thing. Against blitzes, if you're the Raiders, if you're Kansas City's offensive line, you've now got 2 of the best pass rushers in the game across the front.
Good thing Kansas City doesn't have, really bad tackles who line up off sides a bunch. And it's a good thing they don't have that problem.
Max Crosby on the left end, Christian Wilkins on the left tackle. I would like to wish every right guard and right tackle in the AFC the best of luck. That's going to be nasty. Anna Butler and Malcolm Kuntz on the other side aren't a bad couple. And then they are backed up with my favorite name in the NFL today, Lonzo, Divine Diablo. Best name in football.
Okay, the Holy Devil. All right.
Best name in football.
Who's the starting quarterback for the Raiders?
I just told you.
Is Gardner Minshew?
No, it's going to be Aiden O'Connell.
Okay, if you say so. All right. Who's Aiden O'Connell?
The guy who replaced Jimmy Garoppolo, who, by the way, is still on that roster, just in case you're keeping track.
Get your money, Jimmy.
Aiden O'Connell last year, to end the regular season, 62% completion percentage, 2,200 plus yards, 12 tutties to 7 picks, and an 84 rating. That's above average. It's not great. It's just above average, but that's above average.
So he did better than Bryce Young?
Everybody did better than Bryce Young. Everybody. I'm not going to sit here and argue that the man was a legend last year. Everybody was. He was the worst starting quarterback in the league. What I'm saying is it's not on him exclusively.
I purposefully for the last hour have kept your blood pressure down. I thought maybe I could, get it back going before we leave.
Yeah, way to end the show.
That way you can get your after work stuff done quicker. Yeah.
All right. We got to run to our final break of the day. When we come back here in just a minute, what the X is going on. Lonzo's going to tell me what's trending. 2 things that are trending apparently in the way. Get some live ones. We get some live ones during the break.
I found another one. No, there's nothing. I mean, there's a ton of politics going on, but I'm not using those. So, I mean, we'll be all right.
58 votes on our poll. 93% of them say Lombardi lasts forever, by the way. What the X is going on, you ask? I'll tell you. Rob Lonzo and you back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Uh-oh, somebody got Adorn Scheftered.
think you would have thought it was funny, but yeah. You might have crashed the cart into me. Well, without a doubt, Chris set up the projector every time. You know he did.
Oh, for sure.
Did they even have projectors when you were? I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
okay. They have dittos. You know what a ditto is?
I don't know what a ditto is.
It's just like a something copied, like a Xerox.
Yeah.
But a ditto just had a certain smell to it.
My math teacher.
Some of my friends would sniff the dittos.
Like huffing glue?
Yeah. Well, the ink had a certain smell to it.
Okay. My 8th grade math teacher, Miss Grady, who is my least favorite teacher ever. No, that's not true. 2nd grade Miss Thomas was a terrible person. Miss Grady used the overhead projector every class. And literally she would make a transparency of whatever we were learning that day straight from the book. And then she would just project it on the screen and then just be like, read this. And that would be math class. It was the worst thing. We all disliked her immensely. And to this day, I can still smell her dry erase marker and that damn projector light bulb that would get to be 8,000 degrees.
It was alcohol-based fluid. That's why. I had to look it up. It's what dittos were made out of.
Texas said last time I took my kids to Disney World, we got free tickets for doing a timeshare audition. For 4 days, we paid like $400 in lodging and had to sit through a 2-hour presentation that I did not buy. That's from Seminole Ted. I got to tell you, I've heard about, like, I know people who do that. They go sit through a timeshare presentation because you get like a 3-night hotel stay at a theme park or something. As non-confrontational as I am, Zoe, I think I'd rather just pay for the hotel than sit through that.
We've been places early on in our marriage where they try that stuff. I'm like, come on, you cannot, because I know they'll talk her into it. Probably it's like, no, we can't do that. It's not worth it. Yeah, but we get to go to this place free. It's like, yeah, I don't want it. No.
Can you just roll in and be like, joke's on you, I have no money? Like, even if you did the greatest presentation in the history of presentations, it wouldn't matter because I don't have any money. I can't buy this thing.
We're here on behalf of the company, just testing what your presentation was like. Good job.
Yeah,
Good job. I will give you a good review when I get back to corporate.
I genuinely don't know that it would matter. I don't have the money to buy anything.
But
I've always wanted to take
All right,
advantage.
that one
I am
counts.
counting that.
Yeah,
one.
you should.
I've always wanted to take advantage of that, but I don't have money. Like, would it matter?
Isn't there a part of you that wants to scam the scammer, though? I mean, to a degree.
I mean, that's kind of it for me. I'm kind of like, I feel like if I just bounced up in here and have no cash, what are you going to do about it? Kick me out? Oh, you're not allowed to buy this. Ha ha ha! Sucks to be you. I can't anyway.
Seems like a good spot. All right. Time to ask Rob what the X is going on. I had a bunch of these, a lot of scribble marks. So the first thing that's Xing is Eric Carmen.
Eric Carmen? Not
Don't you
Eric-
be looking it up. No.
I'm not.
no.
I assumed Eric Cartman,
No.
but that's a different person.
Oh, you know Eric Carmen.
You're going to have to.
When I was young, I never needed anyone. You don't know All By Myself? You've never heard of All By Myself?
I mean, like the song?
Yes.
I mean, I know the song, but you could give me a billion guesses.
He also sang "Hungry Eyes" on Dirty Dancing.
I know that one.
Okay, all right.
But
all right.
you could have given me 1,000 guesses, and I never would have.
All
guessed.
By Myself has been used in so many commercials.
Oh, again, I know the song.
Okay, all
but
right.
1,000 guesses, I never
By the
would
way,
have been able to tell you.
it's
the artist.
unfortunate that he passed away. I just want to say that he passed away at the age of 74. So I don't want to discount and make light of the situation that someone died. Rob just didn't know.
I mean, very sad. I have no idea who that is.
I just want to say it's your own fault for, making me cross a bunch of these out. The next one, I know you know who this is. James Taylor is Xing.
I do know some James. I love some James Taylor. One of my favorite artists of all time, man. This is so dumb story. When the fiance,
So you're not even going to ask why he's Xing. I mean,
oh, you're going to tell me here in a minute.
Yeah, because I mean, it could be something.
It's his birthday.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. A couple of years back, when the fiance and I went up to Boston, New York for that vacation we went on, we went to a Red Sox Yankees game. And during one of the inning breaks, they showed who we assumed was James Taylor on the Jumbotron at Fenway. And I'm like, yo, look, James Taylor's here. Noted Red Sox fan, James Taylor. I'm like, yo, would you look at that? James Taylor's here. She's like, I don't think that's James Taylor. I was like, I guarantee you that's James Taylor. She tweeted James Taylor, and during the game, James Taylor tweeted back at her like, yeah, it's me. I'm here. Which, like, that story is real dumb, except for I just got to dunk on my fiance and be like, bang, I told you. Love me some James Taylor.
Yeah, you didn't get dunked on. She
Rocket
showed you how awesome she is that James Taylor tweeted her back. So, I mean, you may take the win there, but she gets the win.
No, she doesn't get the win.
Yeah,
I got the win.
she got tweeted back by James Taylor.
Yeah, but
that's the win for her.
She was wrong, and I was not.
Team Courtney on this one.
Deep greens and blues are the colors I choose.
All right, yeah, but he tweeted her back, not you. All right, and finally, because it has to be finally, because I don't have anything else. There's something else that Rob's not going to know about. Fallout 5.
You're right. I don't. I have come so close to getting into the Fallout games. I tried a couple. I tried, what was it, 76? I played with you a couple of times, and It like I don't know if it's just too big of a game. I'm going to tell you right now. You lose all these games. Skyrim kind of fell into the same thing. You lose me when crafting is mandatory to thrive in the game. If it's something that you can kind of do and it makes it a little more fun, or you can get a couple of unique items, but you have to learn how to do it. Okay.
Rob no build. Rob no like build.
No. I don't need to spend time running around finding random pieces of metal that I must find to beat the game. Again, if you're going to like let me build a cool gun that you can only get by crafting and it makes the game more fun.
By the way,
Fallout
will do that. You can craft all kinds of weapons in Fallout.
Sure.
The reason
isn't it kind of mandatory to beat the game?
No, you can.
That was the vibe I got.
You can beat it with regular weapons if you got skills. You can go around, punch people, and win, which you like to do. The reason why it's trending is Todd Howard, who is kind of over the thing. He has asked the people from the Fallout series to not use things from Fallout 5. So the Fallout TV series comes out next month, and the trailer looks excellent, by the way, and which has got people thinking that the Fallout 5 is pretty close if he's asking them to not use things that are in the game.
There you go.
And they keep labeling themselves as Fallout 5. So, again, would have had some other stuff for you, but you decided to take them away from us. You did.
Texter
Even
said,
Derrick Henry. You took Derrick Henry away. I mean,
Text said Kirk's agent is the greatest of all time. Oh, for sure. GOAT level agent for Kirk Cousins. What a deal. All right, that's it for us. We're back tomorrow to do it all over again, but better when Russell Wilson is a Pittsburgh Steeler. See you back here tomorrow for the Great Malonzo. My name is Rob Brown. Have a lovely rest of your day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Yeah!
I'll make sure I save back enough money.
Well, you got a couple of weeks because I'm on the diet. And it's a hard regimented diet for 2 more weeks. And then I get some freebie.
I was going to say, if you looked at the menu, they probably would have stuff.
I don't want to
on
go
there.
to that place and then be like, can I have grilled chicken on a plate, please? I want to go get a burger.
They do have grilled chicken because I've had the grilled chicken.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's not bad.
All right, dudes and dudettes, that's it for us. I got stuff to do. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. You're all spectacular people. Take care of yourselves and your neighbors. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.